What's good, everyone? Welcome to Tokaku's channel this time. For once, I'm not on my own channel, and today we're just going to be doing a podcast.
Yeah.
No name, just an ordinary podcast.
Hey everyone. Actually, I should say hello everybody. Everybody has been complaining that I haven't said that in a while. Okay, so hello everybody. In today's video, actually not a video, it's a podcast. This is the first time I'm holding a podcast on my channel. Me and Etienne actually have had a podcast together before. It's on his channel, and I'll be linking that in the description. And honestly, I really recommend that you guys watch that one because we go through quite a number of things. I think it's quite interesting, although it is quite everywhere. Hopefully this time will be more concise.
Oh yeah, like I had a timestamp like every 3 minutes or something.
Oh no, I think that's what keeps it fun though. Today we have Etienne on my channel, and unfortunately this video has no subtitles. I will try my best to subtitle this later, although it will be oh no. But alright. Okay, so let me introduce who Etienne is first. Am I pronouncing it correctly, by the way?
I don't even pronounce it right technically because it's a French word. It's like Etienne or something like that. Someone will look it up themselves, but I pronounce it Etienne. It's very easy to say it like that, the American way, since that's the only way I'm familiar with. But
the freest way. All right.
Yeah. So anyway, work.
Yeah. All right. So this is Etienne, and honestly, I noticed in my latest few videos, I actually have been referencing him a lot because lately his videos are fire. So who is Etienne? Well, why don't you introduce yourself then?
Yeah. I guess the best way to summarize my channel is that I like rhythm games and I like making videos that I want to make. That's pretty much what you're going to see with my channel. Whenever like the main premise of my channel is that, you know, you're not really sub to anyone who's just making content because they want to get popular. You know, you're sub to a real ass dude who just likes rhythm games.
I love the font in your videos, dude.
I think it's called like Hobo Standard. I think it's called.
Wait, is that
I'm
a
pretty
default
sure it's
font?
what it's called. Yeah, it's so Premiere has their like own fonts that are like custom made more or less, and I would just run through them because my thumbnails back in the day were all over the place because I don't know, I just didn't like using the same font. I was weird with that, but then I found one I really liked that was very cartoonish, stood out very well, and yeah, the rest is history.
It gives your videos a flair. Your videos are mostly rhythm games, although I noticed that it's mostly Etterna, right?
So not necessarily. I mean, yeah, so most of my content is surprisingly not Etterna related. I mean, I always stream Etterna because I'm very passionate about the game and improving and trying to push the boundaries of the game like in the way I possibly could. But I don't know, I've just been following other rhythm games on and off since like, I want to say around 2016, 2015. Not many people really knew I even followed those games, so it was a pretty big surprise when I made my first Clone Hero or Guitar Hero documentary or even an OSU documentary. People were like, who the hell is this guy? Like, how does he know all these things?
I agree. Oh man, when you're an OSU YouTuber because you made one video on OSU.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing Spaz's video about that.
Yeah.
And I forget who sent me it, and I was like, OSU-tuber. I was like, I don't know if I'm that.
Good to know. Welcome to the club. No, I really like your channel though. As in, well, pretty much the biggest reason why I wanted to at least have like another episode with you is because one, I really like talking to you, and two, I don't feel like just speaking on my channel about you now and then is just not enough. To be honest, I want to have a full episode where I actually talk about you because you are definitely
Right.
the most underrated like rhythm game YouTuber right now, in my opinion.
Well, I really appreciate that. It's very nice.
Oh, yeah, like I had a friend who was talking to me, and we were actually on the train while we were talking to each other, and I think you came up as a topic, and my friend said, yeah, I really like Etienne's videos, and my favorite part is that how genuine they feel because they're like scuffed in the 2010 way.
Yeah,
That,
I mean, I have a pretty ghetto setup, to be fair.
I mean, how do I put this? It's scuffed in, let's say, like how it feels. The feeling comes across as very 2010, but you can tell that because it's like it doesn't aim to be professional. So somehow the message comes across way clearer. It's something
Right,
like
yeah.
back then tutorials.
My editing
were more-
style is meant to be pretty simplistic. It's not that I don't like complex editing. I think if it's, you know, done well, it's completely fine. But I don't know. I just like to keep everything pretty simple and to the point because I think if you can do that and translate it to an audience that isn't familiar with what you do or what you like to talk about, I think that can, you know, pay dividends in the future.
Yes, that's true. I'm sure most of your audience, and well, I'm a part of your audience, appreciate most about your videos is pretty much the accuracy in in the videos. Like the amount of depth there is. There was controversy back then with an Osu documentary channel for not doing enough research. And if his research is, let's say, like maybe 3 out of 10, although I'm not saying that his research is 3 out of 10. Let's say this is an arbitrary number. Yours should be all the way close to like 9 to 10. The only thing missing is that you're not physically there at the moment to actually witness everything happening.
Right. Yeah. So the biggest thing about documentaries is that you need to contact people. One of my biggest inspirations for even, building up the courage to ask, whether it's bigger names or people that, like might not even respond to you. I got all that inspiration from Nardwar, if you know who that is.
I have no idea.
Nardwar the Human Serviette. He's a legend in the general music community. He's been doing interviews since like the 80s and 90s with like all these big names back when he was a nobody, basically. And he did a TED Talk where his big phrase was just ask for it. And I watched that video and I watched it a few years ago and like, like that's a good point. Like what's the worst that can happen? And so whenever I do videos, like I just try to contact whoever I can to get as much information as I can that's very pertinent to the topic. So
that's a really good way to see it, because what's the worst that can happen? It's true.
Yeah, exactly. So, and even at worst, sometimes I'll reach out to people that will translate stuff for me just so I can contact certain people. Like it's really those little things that you can get just even the slightest bit of extra information that can make yourself stand out from other people. And I think another thing with documentaries is that it's very interpretive to an extent. Like while documentaries are meant to be pretty factual and objective, you also have to understand what is pertinent to the topic and what isn't as pertinent and can be more or less omitted, but still, staying on topic.
Could provide context, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I'm really interested in your research, actually. Whenever I look in your videos, I'm just thinking about how much work there is put into the script. Because even right now, as I listen to you talking about how much work there is into interviewing people. Okay, let's take your... you made a video on ITG, right? Wait, was it? Oh no, did I remember wrongly?
On who?
ITG. Was it?
No, I didn't do one. I did one on Vaxay. Itki was in the Vaxay documentary.
Oh, okay.
He was briefly mentioned.
That probably triggered my memory wrong. Okay, the Vaxay documentary is the one that propelled you to Osu stardom.
Yeah, more or less. I didn't expect it to take off as much as it did.
I remember in our previous podcast together on your channel, the thing that impressed me the most is when you were talking about how you don't really play Osu Standard, and yet you're making a documentary completely on Osu Standard, and it's in a community that you haven't been like completely entrusted into. So how were you completely sure that all the things you were saying was correct? And how are you sure that you can come across as a reliable narrator? Because it's really difficult. I just have a lot of confidence in what I say.
I make sure I try to describe what I'm talking about as not simplified, but also I try to flesh out what I mean when I'm trying to describe, whether it's certain patterns, like I'll say a certain pattern is aggressive, or I'll say something is like obscenely difficult. Like I'll try to use certain words to try and get my message across better when I'm describing certain skill sets, or I'll say like very technically proficient, or I think it also helps that I've just watched the game for so long. And I know obviously it's not the same thing as playing it, but I think Osu in particular is a lot easier to digest from a spectator standpoint. And if you watch the game enough, you can understand what is going on, because I never played Osu in my life, and I was able to pass like a 7-star on touchscreen. My first, like just by watching people play. Like I could just
it's like that.
Granted, it was a mortal flame, but still, I don't know.
That's still insane. Like you just started touchscreen past 7-star mortal flame. I think it's AR 9.2 if I'm not wrong. Being able to react like that when you first start is actually really something else. And most touchscreen monitors are 60 Hz, so you didn't have the high refresh rate advantage there. That is pretty nutty.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just a game I was able to I can read a lot of things that are going on in Osu. Like I can comprehend and tell people this is what pattern is going on. This is the relative difficulty of it, and I don't know, just stuff like that. Like there's a lot of examples from my Biko video and my Vaxay video on how I describe the difficulty of certain skill sets.
I see. Okay, now that makes a lot of sense, because when you made that Osu video, I was like, wait, he plays Osu? Or like
how does this 6-digit know anything?
Yes.
That's probably what a lot of people were wondering.
It's not that I was wondering like, how does this 6-digit know anything? I was like, how does this 6-digit know anything? Okay, wait, I just repeated the same sentence, but it's not like I expected a 6-digit to know nothing. It's more of like, how did he manage to get everything absolutely correct? That was what shocked me, because My impression of you at the time was, when I watched the video at least, was that you came into researching the video like completely blank, like had completely no idea about anything, and somehow you managed to decipher what was difficult and what was not, and that blew my mind. But now with some context that you followed the game for years, that makes a lot more sense. Although, did you have to do any extra research on, let's say, the difficulty of patterns, just in case you did not accidentally just say like, oh, this 1-2 jump is difficult or something like that?
I don't know. Well, I don't really think I describe specific patterns in a song. Well, like not like a certain jump, like a 1-2 jump or whatever, but I usually try to describe the map as a whole. So something like, is it Feelin' Sky? I think that's the Camellia song or whatever. But I say it's like super aggressive, technical sliders, wonky patterns, just stuff like that. Like, obviously that's not a super fleshed out way of describing something, but I think it gets the job done, and it, in the end, it's still, it allows everyone to understand like, oh, wow, this is pretty crazy.
Oh. Okay, now that makes sense.
But I can read what's going on the screen. Like I can, like if I were to commentate a live match, I could, I'd be able to commentate with someone pretty comfortably.
Commentating in tournaments. Honestly, I think you make a great commentator. I don't think many people out there have the misconception that you have to be good at the game to be a good commentator. I know that a couple of people, they don't trust certain commentators to commentate on things. Mainly because they assume that usually, let's say, a 6-digit doesn't know enough. That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, and that's a valid criticism. I think people should at least be skeptical because, obviously you would naturally trust someone who is very high ranked in the game and has proven to be good over someone who just watches the game. That's a logical conclusion to come by.
Yeah, except that you've proven the complete opposite, actually.
To an extent, maybe. I wouldn't say it.
No, because like you've kind of reminded me that actually it's true. You don't need to be good at the game to be a great commentator. You just need to know a lot about the game. And that's why I think you'll be a great commentator if you were to try to be one.
Yeah, I think it was Game Osu, that tournament series. I think one of the people that run the tournament, because I actually contacted them for, like in my Vaxit video, when he went on his losers run, at least I think it was Game Osu, there was a bunch of like spreadsheet results and stuff like that. And that's not public, I don't believe. I actually obtained that firsthand from the tournament organizer because I was like, this is super good information. Like I love this. So.
Wait, what were you going to use the information for? A documentary?
So it's like a compilation of Vaxe's like streak of wins, and then it shows like the results of like it'll say like 7-3, 6 or whatever. Yeah, it was just like an archive of like all the results and all the aggregated data of just like literally everything. So
that's
super nice guy. I forget his name, but shout outs to you, dude. I think he's French. I could be wrong, but he reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to commentate next time they boot up the series again. So I'd be more than happy to.
I would be interested in watching a tournament commentated by you.
I did commentate the Speed of Light 2 tournament that I partook in a few weeks ago.
Oh wait, that was the 4K one.
Osamania tournament.
Yeah, the one that you've just made a video on.
Yeah.
I liked it. Great video. Actually, if you were to direct a new viewer to your channel, like which video would you want them to watch?
That's a good question. Wow.
Yeah.
Man, I cover so many different rhythm games, and like I'm proud of like those videos in their unique way.
Well, you could choose something that represents yourself the best. But although all your videos so far have been very consistent.
I do like my most broken chart in rhythm games. I thought that video was super fun to make because it allowed me to delve very deep into a super underground forgotten game. And thanks to Nuno VH, he was able to just do a ton of we just said so much theory crafting and like confirmation of certain data when it came to like delay times for it's a lot, but it was super fun to make, and I'm very proud of that video because it was the reason why I delayed it like a full week because I wanted to make sure everything was right.
Oh wow, okay. I still have not seen that one. I'm gonna go watch it later. And everyone, if you don't know who Etienne is, please go watch that video. He said he gave his seal of approval that you should watch.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to make. I think broken notes in rhythm games in general are not talked about enough. There's a lot of weird instances. My favorite one I talked about in the intro of that video was Rock Band 1's Next to You. So the problem with Next to You, or like there's things called talkies in Rock Band where there's no pitch or anything. You just talk into it. And normally they're the easiest things in the world. It's just like free points basically. But for some reason, when the vocalist goes like, ow, and but when you do that, you can't combo it. It just doesn't work.
Then
so
how are
people
you
were
supposed
like,
to do it?
so people like figured out ways. I forget exactly how it was FC'd, but people had to like figure out ways to finesse the engine into like giving it. I don't know. It was super weird, but there's only like 2 known FCs of it, and it's known as like the most broken vocal chart in Rock Band.
It's like a bug in the game that happened?
Yeah, super strange bug from like 15 years ago. And I contacted the person like a few months ago, Bill TV Show. He was like the face of Rock Band vocals back then. Reached out to him. Unfortunately, he didn't get back to me.
Aww.
He saw my message, but I think it's just been so long that he's just probably not interested in talking about it, which is fine. But God, I would kill to see that video again of him FCing it for the first time because he was the first one to do it.
That would be really cool.
I think it's private.
Apply.
I think it's still up. It's private, but I think that still means it's up. I don't think it's deleted. I think it's still available.
Wait, so the video itself, you couldn't get your hands on it? Or would
Couldn't get my hands on it. It existed at one point though, and I remember watching it. I remember his reaction, how nervous he was at the end. I remember watching, like I was like 10 years old when I watched this, but I remember it.
Wow. Do you remember how he managed to hit that part? I mean, this is probably most likely explained in the video itself.
It was probably just a lot of luck, I think. I can't remember exactly how he did it, but he just, I don't know if it's like trying to activate the talkie early enough to where you can squeeze out enough points for it, or if you use a certain tone in your voice that activates it too. I cannot remember. I think someone used like an instrument, like an actual instrument to trigger it, but I don't know. Super weird. I don't know if there's like an actual solution, but I would love to know one because I want to make a video about it so bad. It's so unique to me.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. Yeah, your videos lately have been kind of. Yeah, they've been in mostly everywhere actually. They've been covering all sorts of things, and that's I think
in
that's
the last few weeks I've just been covering like 4-key games lately, but I do have other rhythm game videos in the works, so I'm excited to get around to releasing those.
To be honest, my favorite videos from you are the rhythm game reviews actually.
Oh yeah, I loved doing the Dance of Fire and Ice one. That's my favorite review by far.
That's my favorite video from you actually. I don't know.
I really liked how it turned out.
It's the whole how your expectations has been proven wrong. You know, you originally came into the game thinking that like it's not much, and then how you were very eloquent in the video basically. You somehow managed to put all my thoughts of what I thought about a game into like you wrapped it up perfectly, and I was like, yeah, this. It's really good.
I was really happy with how I explained everything. I actually took a bit of inspiration from video game Donkey. I love Donkey's like one of my favorite YouTubers, and I love the way his review videos, like I love some of the words he uses to describe certain things. Like his adjective usage is very, I can't even think of the word, but he has a very nice vocabulary, and just the way it's like kind of fast paced, like he's like bam bam bam, like just like all in your face with this information about how good the game is. And I don't know, I kind of used that as inspiration for my video because I think rhythm games can be treated the same way and given the same amount of praise.
And it came across really well. I think like the number one video I would recommend people to watch from your channel is after a documentary. I would recommend them to watch the Dance of Fire and Ice review. The mustache one was it worked as well, except that I think you gave it like a mediocre review because it wasn't.
I gave it a 4.
Yeah, because it wasn't too good. I
just got bored of it.
You didn't like the reading, and the free packs were not. Yeah, I
think like conceptually I just got bored of the game pretty quickly too. Like I can't even come back to it now even as a casual game. Like I just kind of got, I don't know, it's like I said, its initial charm wore off for me faster than it might have for other people, which is fine. You know, like some people love the aesthetic and the artistic expression that Mustache provides, and I think that alone is a very valid reason to keep playing the game. But for me, I'm not even a big anime person to begin with, so I just kind of, you know, I pulled back a little eventually.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And to be honest, I don't play it Mustache. I don't. Like, I played it for a video and that's it. I never actually played it afterwards. Pretty much what you've just said. I know there's some appeal for some other people, but for me, not really. I mean, I honestly think the game is more fun if you did not have your PC and you were like some other place. Mm-hmm. And you have no choice to play the game. It
functions better as a mobile game.
Yes, definitely. But I mean, that is what it started out from. But I wanted to ask you actually, what's in Etterna that kept you like staying in it for so long?
So obviously before Etterna, it was Stepmania for the longest time. I mean, Stepmania still exists, but Stepmania 3.95 was the big thing for the longest time because I forget what advantages it had over 3.9. I can't remember off the bat, but I think it had online support, like multiplayer support, and a few other things maybe. But at the cost, it was a little less stable. Like SM 3.95 would crash a decent bit. But eventually I switched over to Stepmania 5 in 2012, somewhere around there. And then once Etterna came out, that just like changed everything we ever knew about Stepmania. Mina just came out with a thread on Flash Revolution and said, this is Etterna, this is the scoring system. Like he just threw all this information at us and we were just like, what the hell is this? Like, how did you do all? Like he taught himself how to code in multiple languages in like just a matter of a couple months, basically like recoded a ton of things from scratch, I believe, and just made like one of the most nuanced rhythm games and functional rhythm games to date. Obviously it's not very pretty, but it's more or less like the Linux of rhythm games. Like it has so much content, there's so much functionality, there's so many things you can do with it. You can customize everything to your liking in terms of like the playing field, note skins. Like it's a little overwhelming, which is what I think drives people away.
Yeah.
But that's what pulls me in. And there's also so many different ways you can score in the game. There's tons of praise, or not tons of praise, but there's enough praise for old school packs to be somewhat competitive. There's, like people are still making a bunch of new packs with their own like artistic ideas, like different, like unique pattern usage, different music. Like the music variety in Etterna is unlike anything I've ever seen.
I've seen so many kinds. Like I downloaded
do you want like Serbian pop music? You're gonna get like 8 of those in Etterna.
8 packs?
Well, no. Well, if it was up to Lofty, probably. But you like there's just so much to offer in the game that I've just been hooked on it. And obviously I've played Stepmania since I was like 8 years old. So since Etterna is basically a massive upgrade from that, naturally I've just stayed with it since then.
That makes sense, right? Your Quaver review was not so nice.
It wasn't. I mean, I think I was pretty fair with it. I do think the ending was a little aggressive when I said like, why does this game exist? But it was a genuine question I had, because I remember when Quaver first came on Twitter and they were like, yeah, this is the brand new 4-key game, like the best competitive 4-key game in the world. And I just said on Twitter, I just said lol. Like I was like, what the hell is this? And I mean, it looked okay. Like it kind of looked like Overwatch though. Like its aesthetic, it almost had like an Overwatch feel to it in terms of like the menu. Yeah, it's really weird. Like everything's like rectangles and squares and like all the buttons. At least that's what someone said to me. And
I never thought about that until you told me.
Yeah, it's really strange. But anyways, in regards to Quaver, like, yeah, it's great that it's bringing 4-key to a larger audience, but it's not doing anything different than what Etterna and Osamania have already done or have been doing for years now. And, they've done a few things different, but overall, I think it just, I don't know, it's a weird choice to make, to be making a new game like this.
To be honest, when I first saw Quaver, my first thought was that to answer the question, why does this exist? Because it's on Steam. That's all. That's the only thing I could think of. Because it's on Steam. Yeah. Although I will say, the game.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad game. Like and I said that too. I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's just insanely derivative of what 4-key games have already done for years now.
Pretty much. To enjoy Quaver is to just mean that you enjoy 4-key games in general.
Mm-hmm.
And that's actually why my Friday Night Funkin review is positive in a way, because I mean it's a 4K game. To say I don't like how the game works means to just say that I don't like 4K games. I do like 4K games, and it's a way it's gameplay and mechanics that people enjoy, and it's tried and tested, and people will enjoy it if they actually played it. To which I remember, man, I wish rhythm games are more popular.
Yeah, I'm still floored how popular the game got. Like I still a couple of YouTubers I mentioned in the video, I forget the girl's name. I think her name's like Forever Nina, and she's been blowing up lately, like in the last month or so. I think she had like 2K subs when I saw her channel, and then her Friday Night Funkin videos get like 6-digit views. Like it's insane. Like it's
whoa.
I was like, holy shit, I couldn't believe it. You could just make a video about Friday Night Funkin', and if the thumbnail is decent enough and it's, something recent, whether it's like week 6 or week 7 or, hardest Friday Night Funkin' song, I don't know, it can just take off immediately.
There's
a huge community behind it.
Honestly, the way Friday Night Funkin videos work is so different from every other rhythm game like content we've seen so far. Like the way
functions that's like let's plays.
Yeah, they're let's plays. That's so interesting because the most let's play thing I've seen is pretty much for myself, just like plopping up a game, just like, hey guys, today we're gonna play this game. And the Friday Night Funkin videos, I don't know how to describe the let's play feeling. It's just they're like okay, I wouldn't say it's because of the loud voices, but it's more of like they definitely treat it more of like a storyline kind of thing going on. I have not watched enough videos, but I don't think all of the people play on the hardest difficulty. Yeah.
No, I'd probably not, but
Yeah.
some people do. I know. I couldn't believe when I saw Charlie Penguin Zero playing it, or Critical, any of the 5,000 names he has, but the god of Friday Night Funkin', I guess now. But I saw him playing it and I was like, what the hell, dude? Like, everyone's playing this now.
Yeah. When I saw the video, I was like, okay. And then he came up. Yeah, he played Osu.
He played Osu and
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I'm like, he's one step away. I'm like, I wish he could play Etterna or something like that. I would
man.
kill to play that game with him because he's a DDR fan. I've seen his DDR videos in the past and he has a DDR Extreme machine. And I've made videos on DDR Extreme and I play it like the game I play is pretty similar. And I don't know, I would love to play some sort of 4-key game with him because that's what he originated from. But I guess Friday Night Funkin' is probably the most marketable and accessible option for not just him, but probably his audience too. So
Yeah.
better luck next time, I suppose.
It makes sense. I wouldn't be surprised
Yeah,
if he
yeah.
would actually try Etterna on, like, let's say, like stream or something, but he wouldn't clip it for a video, I think, maybe.
I think he would love the mod charts in NotITG. Oh my
ITG.
god.
Oh, he will love them.
NotITG is like the pinnacle of marketability and just genuine casual fun you can have with a 4-key game.
I agree. Actually, I'm surprised. The thing about NotITG's mod charts is that they're not popular enough. I still feel
No,
like they're
they're
not.
not.
Yeah, they're not.
People
And-
spend like a half a year on a single mod chart.
Yes, and they're just not a known thing. Like, unless it's a popular song, which, okay, my first introduction to NotITG, I am embarrassed to admit, but freaking Megalovina.
Yeah, Taro Nuke.
Yes.
Taro's the homie, dude. Yeah, I think he's definitely one of the people one of the biggest people behind mod charts, and I thank him for that. And I thank all the people who have just worked their ass off to make these beautiful, I can't even describe it. There's so many words you can describe mod charts because they're just so unique and there's so much code and artistic value to them.
They're so
that
goofy too. They're like lighthearted.
Yeah,
fun.
some of them are very goofy.
Yeah. Or they
and-
can be really serious. Like I think there's a lot of ITG mod charts. They follow a storyline, if I'm not wrong. Do they?
Some do, yeah. Especially back in the day, they were more story driven. There were series called Windu Hates You. There was, oh my god, what's the other one called? There's
think
another one
I've
that's
seen the first
UKSRT is another one. There's storylines behind that, but yeah, like people would just get together at these public events, and all of them would just witness them for the first time while these two people on a machine just try to finesse their way through these crazy mod charts through this intense storyline. Like it's such a crazy thing to imagine, and it's so underground still nowadays.
Yes, the way everything is, it's actually impressive how it's still underground. Actually, that's what I think. But I mean, what do you
ITG is a
think?
very underground game, to be fair. It's been so grassroots since Konami sued Roxer back in 2004 or 2005, I believe, and ever since then, ITG never had a chance to flourish.
That's true. Oh dang! I mean, I still hope that ITG mod charts will reach the widest audience possible someday. I
Yeah.
honestly think that they have the potential to just hit the mainstream because they already can.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, they have the content. It's just getting it out there. I used to do mod chart Mondays like every 2 weeks, but I just been so entranced in improving in Eternal lately that I just kind of forget to. But
Honestly,
maybe I'll bring it
no
back.
blame. No hate. No
Yeah.
blame. It's true. Fair enough. I mean, I can't believe I'm actually getting back into Osu.
I saw a couple of your titles and I was like, she doing playing Osu again.
I'll explain later, but let's talk about mod charts. I feel like something about the way mod charts feel, the essence of them, it feels so much like something you would see. You know those speedrunning tournaments or live showcases? That giant room with all the people watching and it's on live and there's thousands of people watching.
Yeah.
I feel like that could just happen for mod charts. It works so well.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's very theatrical.
Yeah, I mean, it already works that way right now on a very small scale. But boy, I hope for the day that it will happen. I mean,
Yeah, because the difference between mod charts in that game and really any other game, at least to my knowledge, is that they are coding like the receptors, like the note receptors, to do certain things. Whereas with other mod charts like Clone Hero, and no disrespect to Clone Hero mod charters, they do an amazing job at creating the like illusions of, you know, stuff changing around, stuff like that. But with NotITG, they're writing code to say move all this stuff around and using like different programs to, like, there's so much that goes into it. It's unreal. But both are great. Mod charts are great. I think they're great for rhythm games. I think it's one of the best ways to grow a rhythm game initially, if you want to introduce someone to see like how cool they can be.
Yeah, it's always so fun to watch mod charts. I think that's why storyboarded charts are also, at least right now, they're like very popular, especially like the whole Aspire Mope, the thing blew up.
Yeah, I forgot about that at one point. I forgot they did the whole Aspire thing.
Yeah, it's all storyboarded. Although there was actually a whole, I wouldn't say Twitter drama, but people were arguing and not arguing. Okay, how to say? They were debating. No, you know what? All these words are coming out wrong. People were kind of heated about the whole fact that storyboarded charts are allowed in Aspire now, because when storyboarded charts are allowed, they feel that it's a lot less effort than finding new ways to break the game, because there are the two groups of people: the ones that love the storyboards and the other that really wants to see how far you can push the game engine.
Push the game, yeah. And I think that's a valid argument. I'm going to be honest,
it's
because
completely fair.
Yeah, because I think there should be. I think if you're going to set boundaries, or if anything, there can be a separate category like no storyboards and storyboards, because there's such like a blatant disconnect between the two.
Yeah,
that I think it would be reasonable to separate them.
They're two completely different things.
Yeah, you're competing against like it's like a 100-meter guy competing against a miler. Like there's just
yeah, I think they are
different set of tools.
I think they were separated actually. Let me just check. Okay, Aspire V, new format. Okay, let me just fact check this real quick. I don't want to get anything wrong. Shit, I'm gonna. I think I'll just explain why I'm playing Osu again. What happened was that I decided to just play on private servers instead of the actual Osu server, because it's kind of like I can't beat any of my scores now. I'm not even anywhere close. So it's not fun to play anymore, you know. You know, the feeling of progression is completely gone. It's not even about progression in PP. It's about progression in skill. Like you see these scores that you will never reach ever again. And it's such a demoralizing feeling that you just want to start from scratch. Why not? What's my actual skill level? I don't even freaking know. Why not try again?
Yeah, de-rusting is, I mean, it could be brutal sometimes.
Speaking of which, I had this really dumb idea that Peppy would absolutely hate, but I just thought it would be actually pretty funny. Actually, not funny. It would be actually interesting to watch. Peppy doesn't like private servers, and honestly, that's understandable why advertise things that's outside of Pancho. But speedrunning in rhythm games has always been a joke, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's like the hardest part about speedrunning rhythm games is menuing. That's like where most of the difficulty comes from, is like just menuing.
Pretty much.
which is such a silly concept to think about.
Except, what if there was a server where everyone just speedran to a certain amount of PP? That's so much more interesting to watch.
I mean, it'd be interesting to watch. I guess for me, I'm just kind of a stickler for like how speedruns operate. So I don't know. I guess I just wouldn't be crazy about it, because I would know everything that's going to happen pretty much.
I think it depends, because everyone would do the speedrun differently based on their skill level. Let's say if
so like what's the general format of like an Osu speedrun? I don't know. I kind of get it, but I kind of don't.
Okay, like the fastest time to 1000 PP, overall PP.
Okay, yeah. I feel like that just comes down to a lot of game knowledge and routing. And then by the time the meta's developed and everyone knows what maps to play, at that point, you're just picking and choosing which ones are slightly less risky than others. I don't know. I mean, that's a little more interesting than the whole like 10 songs in under a minute or something.
Yeah.
That's hot garbage. That's just like clickbait bullshit.
No, I think no, those are just memes, funny stuff.
Yeah.
I can't seem to load the Aspire page. Actually, can you load it for me?
Aspire V, right?
Yeah. Does it separate the categories of storyboards and game breaking stuff?
Just gonna look up storyboards. For example, we may have a category for beat maps that use storyboards and another category for beat maps that are using 2B overlapping objects. So what it looks like they plan on it. At least that's what this original article says.
Okay, let's find the... Okay, so here's the final results. Let's see if they separated it. I feel like a terrible like person to ask about Osu, because I don't even remember the results for Aspire V.
Oh, here we go. Categories? Oh, there's a lot of categories here.
Oh, so they did separate
There's like 8 categories.
But Are they like based on
There's-
different game modes though?
Aspire V, manipulation of time. Aspire V, aspirable fruits. Oh, is that catch related?
Most likely.
Innovative storyboarding. That's Taiko, Catch, and Mania. Slider Maestro. Player's pick. 2B. Song title. Innovative storyboarding. Unique mechanics. Those are all. There's a lot of categories.
Yeah, so it looks like they did separate everything. Okay.
Yeah, they
that's
separate
solid.
like as much as they could.
Yeah, that makes it much better than back then, I think. But back then, we didn't have storyboarded stuff. I think storyboarded maps weren't allowed in Aspire, actually. If not, F-Zero would have won instantly, like
Yeah.
over everything else. Okay, there's one thing I wanted to ask you about paid rhythm games and simulators. Well, this is
Yeah, so my biggest qualm with people that don't like simulators is that they use that as an argument or a justification for the lack of content in their own game. So I actually had an argument with someone over DDRV, and the person is a very passionate DDR player, someone I've followed for years now, someone who I'm very familiar with. And the second they use the word simulator, it seems like when they use it in an argument, they're using it to like diminish the value of the game, or say, oh, since the concept of the game is so derivative and whatever, and it's like open source, it's a simulator, it doesn't count, like whatever. But
wait, what do you mean doesn't count? What was the context of the argument?
I'd have to go back and check. So I was basically making fun of DDRV for just being
Bad?
a complete flop. Yeah, it was so
Yeah,
bad.
it's garbage.
It's one of the worst things I've ever played in my life. And that's not even like an exaggeration. And I forget what got brought up, but I don't know if it had to do with the songs or anything, like the lack of songs, or I don't know. They used the word simulator.
Was it that? Was
and
it
how
that,
it's like elite, like how Etterna is like illegal to an extent. And I'm like I don't know if you know how copyright law works, my dude. That's not. It's a little. There's a bit more of a gray area than that. In that case, you can stretch the argument to virtually anything if you want to say Etterna is illegal.
Oh wait, so the person was defending DDRV?
More or less. Let me see if I can find it.
Why would you? Okay, I would understand if like they were like arguing about DDR versus. Okay. How about Sound Voltex versus K-Shoot Mania? That kind of thing. Yeah, that I guess that I would understand like the why people would be defensive over Sound Voltex over the simulator.
Oh, here it is. Yeah. Stepmania and other simulators are borderline illegal or flat out are. The DDRV is an official way to play a game that is accessible to almost anyone without any gray areas. Stepmania is not illegal by any means. That's just incorrect. That's just objectively wrong.
And Stepmania is actually really easy to download though.
Yeah. Like no one's making any money. No one ever made any money off of Stepmania, to my knowledge. The devs did it all free, and like it didn't make any point. But I just don't like the way simulator just sounds like such a diminishing term at times for when people want an excuse to hate on other games that aren't official versions of said game, or you know.
Yeah, actually, I never thought about that, but you're right. You make a really good point. It's kind of like, I never realized that I had this mindset until you pointed it out, actually. That the whole, using the word simulator, you don't see it as like a real game. And this is not even in just rhythm games. Like, for example, other kinds of games, things like computer simulator or anything simulator, these general topics, it's not the real thing. I mean, I guess that's what simulation means in the first place. It's like
Right.
emulation versus simulation, yeah.
I'm also like, the thing with simulators or whatever genre you want to categorize as, a lot of them are very community driven. That's why I like them so much. And this kind of ties back into my distaste, more or less, for corporations having too much, or just bigger companies having too much of a say in what goes into their own rhythm game. And while it makes sense at first, with rhythm games in particular, what normally ends up happening is that the developers just end up having so much less knowledge of the game they created than the community members that spend day in and day out figuring out what works and what doesn't when it comes to charting something, or what functions better, like what patterns work, what patterns don't, what feels smooth, like what menu, or like what should be modifiable in terms of like changing note size or speed mods, like little things like that developers completely look over, especially bigger ones.
Oh, because when it comes to developers, my word is law, right?
What do you mean?
My word is law. It's like that. It's like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That more or less, yeah. Everything they do is perfect and the game is fine, because most people, like, I'm more or less almost spoiling one of my next videos, but I don't care. I think one of these are going to be, it's probably going to release around the same time as this, more or less. But basically, Konami just doesn't let their fans get a say in what can be improved in the game. And I think a few other games do that too, where like they could just be improved so much more. A lot of arcade rhythm games, I think,
They don't give a
can
shit.
be just they can be improved so much more. And I think the players should have so much more of a say, or be like, hey, if you guys want to submit charts, here's a list of all the licensed artists we have, and if you want to submit a chart, we'll take a look and we might accept it. That alone can completely enhance a game's quality by far. Just letting your community members submit charts, or like just try to just like feel like they have a place or like a community.
That makes sense. Although from a business standpoint, that would be too much work though. Because
Well, fuck them. They can subtract some of their profits for a good game.
Oh no, I guess it makes sense.
They can subtract a little bit of money, but
Oh no, it's not about money.
I don't
It's the
know.
time.
They don't have to get a community member. Like, there are so many people who will do stuff for free.
free,
I
yeah.
think people forget. Yeah, people will literally do that type of stuff for free and say like, "Hey, here's all these charts. Look over them and do what I." Obviously, there's some liability issues with that, but there's so many dedicated community members that have been in certain games for like a decade or so. And like, again, I'm going to bring up DDR again. Just let them try their shot. Let them submit some charts. DDR's musical catalog and chart catalog is so one-dimensional and boring as hell that like it's getting completely mollywopped by every other rhythm, like community-driven rhythm game.
And I think it also has to do with the fact that it's so hard to find a DDR machine too.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I just think community-driven rhythm games, on average, have shown to be so much better because, like, even if community members have to make the entire game themselves or code stuff from scratch, it just normally results in a better game. Like, community members know what they want in a rhythm game. That's just traditionally how it's been. It's been like that for years now. When Guitar Hero more or less died, we're not even going to talk about Guitar Hero Live. That was not a resurrection of the game.
Yeah, screw that.
When Guitar Hero died, it was pretty much up to the community members to do what they can. And they basically like reverse engineered Guitar Hero 3's original code to be able to have songs with more than 4,000 notes, or past a certain time limit, or have more songs to play in the game without crashing it. Like, community members know what they want. They're much more dedicated. They have much more knowledge of the game. Like, yeah, it's like, obviously give credit to the people who created the base game, but there comes a certain point where, you know, other people are just going to simply be able to take care of everything else and just improve the game more. But
I think I get where you're coming from. It makes sense. Yeah. Like, the best people to ask would be the people who know the most, and company people don't know.
Basically, TLDR, corporations get too comfortable with their final product for rhythm games. I think that's the biggest thing. They get too comfy with where their game's at, and the only differences they make are either very subtle or are very aesthetic driven.
I actually have a different point of view. I think they don't do it because they're comfortable. I don't think so. I think it's because egoism, because they believe that they are correct. Yes.
I mean, yeah, to an extent probably, but
I think it's like a huge extent. For example, like, you know, Namco will never add scroll speed in Taiko, right? Because to them, this is how the game is. You can't change it.
Yeah, stuff like that just floors me. Although that kind of is Namco a Japanese company?
Yes. I mean, Taiko no Tatsujin.
Yeah, I figure. I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure. Like, that's where their origins are from, like, even when they first formed. So what I learned, actually, and I don't know if this is principle, I'm just kind of taking this from my knowledge of what I know from the Smash community. There's a player by the name of Amsa. He's the best Japanese Smash player and like a big figurehead in the Japanese gaming community in general. And there's this thing called Slippy for Melee, which you can play Melee online. It's a modified version of Melee. You can just boot it up and play people across the world.
Oh wait, that one that got booted off by Nintendo?
More or less, like the Slippy, the big house when it got canceled. So the Japanese community will not let Amsa play Slippy, because they think it goes against like the original game, and like they don't like how it's a modified version, and like he's only allowed to play vanilla Melee or vanilla Ultimate, and anything else they'll just like disown him basically.
Wow.
And I found it to be very interesting, and I wasn't sure if certain companies, when they create a rhythm game, there's like a cultural standpoint they kind of stick to when they create the game. They're like, okay, this is it. This is the game. We're not going to change it unless there's something so drastic we need to, and you're just stuck with it.
I honestly think that's that's exactly how it is. No, I know Konami works this way, at least. Konami is quite stagnant in their current lineup of things. As much as people say that, Sound Vortex is very popular, it's actually losing out to Sega. Like, Sega games right now are absolutely exploding. You have the My Machines, Chunitum, and all these are doing so much better. You know why? They actually know what the players want, which is, if you want people to play your game, you gotta have songs that people know. You don't freaking keep adding songs that no one has literally heard of.
Now, I'm going to look like an idiot. Is Sega behind Sonic? Is that where it all started?
Sega has different divisions, I think.
I've never played Sonic, so like I just want to make sure I'm not like completely off my rocker. Okay. So like Sega brought in a bunch of fan game developers to make one of the best Sonic games in the last 30 years, Sonic Mania. Like, Sega knows what the people want. What the people want. They trust their community, and they want to consistently improve after more or less being bullied for the last 20 years for not churning out a single good Sonic game.
Originally, I was thinking that when you were talking about the whole Melee story we were saying, I thought you were trying to say that maybe it could be a Japanese culture thing, a cultural thing in Japan. I think that what was what you were implying to. But I think we might have narrowed down that it could be a part of culture. Although the ones that actually listen to the players are the ones that are really standing out right now. Like games like places like Sega, and Nintendo is really not doing themselves a favor, really.
No, not at all. Yeah, I think honestly, in general, I think the community members are having less and less of a say for their games, which is it's just such a bad move to make. In general, I don't know. I think you should always at least you're not obligated to contact your most popular fans or like biggest influencers for the games they play, but I think they should have an opportunity. I think opportunity is a big thing for just games in general, or obviously especially for rhythm games, because there's so many. I did a video called Rhythm Game Design a little while ago.
Oh yes, I remember that
one. There's so many little things or simple things that can just enhance a game's quality or make it more accessible. And I think people are like, oh, well, that's just the game's charm. And I'm like, no, it's to an extent, like the basis of the game is, but just a little tweak like adjustable scroll speed or changing the size of something, it just makes the game so much more comfortable for certain people. Like, everyone's different with the way they set games up.
I think it depends, honestly. For me, right? I'm honestly fine with Taiko not having scroll speed. It's like telling Osu players adjustable it's not something that people used to scroll speed will understand. It's at this point it's really a subjective point of view, because to us reading becomes a difficulty. It's a part of it's.
See, that's interesting to me, because what I've learned from like playing Etterna over and over again is that I have almost never changed my scroll speed in the last 10 years. Because for rhythm games, or especially for Etterna or Stepmania, we used to harp on people all the time for constantly changing their scroll speeds, because you're changing the way you process the notes and patterns on the screen. So when there was a player, Lily, she would always enhance her scroll speed by a ton to read certain charts better, but this ended up just kind of causing more problems instead of fixing them, because you're changing the way you process patterns. And that's why I always say, like, how fast you can read something on the screen, 100% genetic. Because everyone reads at different scroll speeds. Any rhythm game that has adjustable scroll speeds, everyone will have a different one to an extent. Like, obviously there'll be some similarities, but everyone reads different. And that's my biggest point towards games that don't have that option. Like, some people are just naturally better at reading slow stuff or naturally better at reading faster scrolling stuff. So when games don't have that option to adjust that, I'm like, that's such a foreign concept to me.
Okay, here's my side of the matter. I honestly wish Taiko had scroll speed. However, I completely understand why they don't. Because the thing about Taiko is it's very... we all talking about rhythm games. Obviously, this is a rhythm game as well. And to say that it's very rhythm-based is a really dumb thing to say. But I am not exaggerating when I say this is very rhythm-based. It's very, very rhythm-based. Like, straight up, you cannot do well on Taiko at all with purely just reading. A lot of it is actually knowing the song, having like the song ticking inside of you in your arms. That's taiko. So I know reading things will get much easier if you actually read at a comfortable, set the reading. But it becomes a part of, you see the pattern and then you need to execute the rhythm inside yourself, like to the game. Then you see, you hit. That's not, the game is not you see, you hit. It's you see, you process. And because the thing about taiko is that you're already hitting to the beat, but the thing is, where are you going to hit? hit. I mean, can be applied to every other rhythm game, but my thoughts are, I don't know if I'm saying them right. It's really hard to explain.
I gotcha. This is probably going to be kind of controversial. I hate hit sound. I can't play taiko with hit sounds. I can't play osu with hit sounds. It sounds ugly as sin to me. Every time I hear like I'm like, what the? Get out of here! I don't want to hear that. I want to hear the song.
No, straight up though. Taiko and tatsujin, the hit sounds are wrong. Like the actual cabinets. They sound correct, but the truth is, you're not actually listening to the sound from the cabinet. You're listening to the sound your drumsticks made, just like keyboard. Yeah, it actually makes it kind of fucky if you're playing the game, because you hear the sound, which is the correct, and then you hear the actual hit sound being played, like delayed or like playing earlier.
Some hit sounds are straight up delayed. I from my experience, but I don't know. I hate hit sounds. I hate that it's a requirement for ranking stuff in osu of any game type. Fuck whoever came up with that idea. I hate that idea. I just want to get that out there right now. But when I found that out one day that Osumania required hit sounds to be ranked, I was like, oh my god, that's the dumbest idea I've ever heard. I don't understand it. Like most accuracy players from Mania don't even use hit sounds to my knowledge, because it's so distracting. Like it doesn't help.
Yeah, I actually was more accurate on taiko when I played without hit sounds, because you know what you're pressing, you know?
Yeah, most people I tell, like there was a little discussion in my Discord where someone was like, stop playing with hit sounds. And I had 3 separate people being like, yeah, it worked. My accuracy is so much better.
Oh, but there's one thing that I can play taiko without hit sounds, because, you know, taiko is a very like tap 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 game. But Mania is just like the holds start to fuck me up. I can't hear the beat in holds. Like if you put in a really long hold, it's I'm not used to it, that's all.
Oh, it's just so ugly to me. I hate hit sounds. It's just such a gross sound. I can't stand it. I just want to hear the song and my key taps when I'm playing. That's the perfect combination. Hit sounds are your own key taps. I'm sorry, you're probably wearing some like super noise canceling headphones that you can't hear. Like, can you hear your own keyboard when you play?
Me?
Can you hear your own keyboard when you?
I set my volume up so loud that I can't hear anything. But when it comes to
no, I can't do that.
But when it comes to taiko, I play like this.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that's why I only wear earbuds when I play rhythm games. I can't play. I tried wearing headphones. Way too overwhelming. I felt like, especially when there was like pressure on me, I feel like I was having like tunnel vision. It was just too much on me.
It's just, I think at this point it's just that's preference.
Oh yeah, it's definitely it's preference to like a pretty good degree. But I hate the concept of hit sounds. I'm just gonna say that right now. I think
it sounds
even for regular osu.
Though.
Oh my god, I just don't understand them. Like, because people will say, oh, it helps keep yourself on track for sliders and stuff like that, which is valid. But
it's
even then,
valid.
it's just I hate hearing that noise. I like because I guess I have a very internal sense of rhythm, so I'm pretty biased in that regard. But
I have no sense of rhythm.
Oh, see, ever since I was a little kid, I've had a very internal sense of rhythm. So
I'm jealous. No, but then if you were to ever play osu like standard, you would play without hit sounds?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
absolutely crazy.
Yeah, I can't play with hit sounds. It's so annoying to me.
Yikes!
Because then I have to hear the miss sounds, and like whenever I hear a miss sound, I'm like, I want to strangle my tablet. Then it's just so.
But it's the point.
Tilting.
That's the point.
No, I hate miss sounds.
You SC or die.
Oh yeah, that's another fucking combo scoring. Thanks a lot.
Amazing, the world's best storing system. No, but when it comes to osu, I did try to play without hit sounds a couple of times. This is even before I started playing other rhythm games. I absolutely cannot keep rhythm. In fact, most songs end up sounding like absolute garbage if you don't play with hit sounds and you just hear the key taps, because they make no sense. It doesn't feel like it follows the music.
Oh, see, I hear the sliders in my head.
Oh, I see. Oh wait, so that's how Mania players do it. I'll have to consider doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it just helps me learn the song better too, because I'm not reliant on anything.
Oh, right. Okay. Off topic, but so the whole taiko scroll speed thing that I'm okay with. I'm okay with it because it's one of the smallest things I could ask. If I were to ask different things from taiko and tatsujin, scroll speed is like the lowest on the list. That's why I'm okay with it, because it's fine. You know what's number 1 on the list? Adding an offset.
Oh,
there's no offset in taiko. Holy
that's
shit.
Bad. That's really bad, actually.
No, but actually it makes sense.
You're putting a lot of trust into people to sync their charts properly, especially since not all songs have a consistent BPM.
Yes.
Some songs have varying BPMs to like 0.02 or something, and it can shift a lot, like especially older songs. Whether it's like an old song from like the 80s or 70s, it can teeter between like 155.3 and 155.4.
Especially
and over
the
time, like over a span of 2 minutes, that makes like your song will be offset by like a whole half second.
Yeah, especially if the music was played by a human person on the drums. Yeah, there's a lot of room for error. Although the thing is that the reason why there's no offset in Taiko and Tatsujin, by the way, this is only in the arcade cabinet. In the actual game itself, like Switch, PS4, all those, they have offset because they know that your system cannot be perfect, especially if you play on TV. The reason why the arcade cabinets have no offset is because the arcade cabinets are perfectly tuned to the music. So it means that everyone is forced to play with the sound of their sticks hitting the drum. So this is the perfect offset. You have to play like that or else. And that's the thing that annoyed me so much at first, because I was like, I can just play the freaking hit sounds. Screw the taiko sound, the drum hitting sounds. But holy shit, there's no offset. That's actually a crazy thing. Because like every other video game I've tried so far, they have an offset system like in arcade games. Why does Taiko not have it? It's ridiculous. Right, okay, before we move on to the next topic, I wanted to say that Sound Voltex is community driven, actually.
I have heard that. I've heard like Sound Voltex has a pretty like involved community with it.
Although it seems that the rest of the games are not as much. It seems like only the newer games Konami has more community driven. I can't say for the rest of the games, but I know Sound Voltex is community driven. The charters are picked from the community, I believe. The songs are good. It started off being fan submitted songs, I think. They got different places. Like they wanted they put what the fans wanted, which is all Toho remixes back in the day. Yeah, that's why there's so many Toho songs in Sound Voltex, because the player base was just Toho fans. And they just expanded from there. I wish DDR was the same though. The new charts, I heard they want to.
Yeah, DDR has such a special place in my heart. It really does. I love DDR. I do. I love the game. It's such a fun game. In the rare occasion I could find a machine and hop on, it's so exhilarating. I have a blast every single time.
To be honest, I would prefer playing Pump It Up over DDR. I don't know. Pump It Up just seems more fun.
I like Pump. Its timing windows are way too loose for me to enjoy it though.
I see.
They're like super loose. They're like I think they're the loosest windows I know of in any rhythm game.
Really?
For the most part.
That's interesting.
They're very loose. Yeah.
Good to know. Oh, but those
they're not symmetrical either.
Oh.
They're asymmetrical. Like it has a looser late window than it does an early window.
That's really interesting actually.
Like way looser. Yeah, like super loose late window.
I've never heard of that. Actually, I've never really played Pump enough to know. Oh man.
Yeah, I looked it up one day. There's like this chart of all these timing windows for various games, and I'm like, what the hell? Like that doesn't make any sense.
I see. All right, so the next one, the Osu scene. Wait, you wanted to make a video about that, weren't you?
Oh, I'm thinking about it. I don't know.
The Osu YouTuber scene.
I don't know. Like I've done a decent amount of research, but I just don't know if I can get myself to watch enough videos to aggregate all the data I need to, quite frankly. But it would just be like summarized into various topics, like how certain people review things and common tropes, like how, certain popular trends like guessing OSU ranks and OSU setups and stuff. Those, like stuff like that sets a precedent for up and coming creators. So the more and more popular creators that do that, the more likely it is that other people are going to be like, oh, this is what gets views. So it just kind of creates this cycle, especially since the whole motherfuckers be like trend that started.
Oh God.
Where I searched that up and sorted by recent, and just in 24 hours there were it was 10 to 15 videos or something crazy, and I was like, what the hell?
And they all get so many views.
Trends like that alone just define not even just the Osu landscape, because quite frankly Osu has a pretty big monopoly over rhythm game content in general, because I think about other popular games like Clone Hero, and I'm trying to think what else can really be on that level. I don't know if there's really anything else on the level.
Maybe Beat Saber?
Yeah, Beat Saber, that's a good point. Beat Saber is just like both Beat Saber and Clone Hero, it's mostly just people playing the game.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of content about it. No one's really trying to do like extensive content or documentaries. Now, I haven't done a lot of research on the Beat Saber things or Beat Saber side of things, so I could be wrong. But just from what I've scrolled through and whatnot, I've found nothing compared to what the Osu landscape does. There's a lot of personalities, I guess you can say, that have evolved in the Osu tube scene. Like everyone's trying to be a YouTuber in Osu nowadays.
Yeah, this is really interesting. interesting actually. I believe the Osu YouTube landscape only started really picking up in 2013. What Wolf, he started making his videos. Oh, those were good videos. They were gameplay.
Him.
They were simple.
He's such a great guy.
Yeah, they were very entertaining, but just fun to watch videos, even though they were just gameplay. And I think he's the one that started the whole big hand cam, small window trend. I remember making that kind of videos back then because I was like, I want to do that too. And then slowly it evolved into, I believe, the next big person was Mirai. I don't actually know what his first video of Osu that blew up. Actually, this is a lot of stuff that is worth looking into, like the timeline of evolution of Osu content. And I think a big part of how Osu content has evolved actually came from our Osu game and Twitter.
Oh, there's your mistake there. If your derivation is from fucking Twitter out of all places.
Okay, so the thing is that Twitter didn't start out completely, I mean, the way it is, we know. I mean, we know the both terrible things. You're both not on Twitter.
Yeah, I deleted mine like 8 months ago.
Yeah, I remember asking you why you did that. Twitter Osu content is not as terrible as... In fact, I would say that it's a step above Osu content actually. I started out Osu with a very elitist way of viewing content actually. Like the very bottom of the list in social like hierarchy, in my opinion, for the Osu content creation is YouTubers. Bottom of the barrel. That's what. Yeah. I see myself the same way as well. I'm just like, oh man, I am the bottom of the barrel. I try my best not to be, but I know that I have resigned myself to this position. The next tier up would be the people who make content on Reddit. And then after that would be actually Twitter's number one, because Twitter mainly focuses on shitposts, since there is a time limit in how long a video you can upload. So it becomes go right to the point. And this means that you cannot upload entire gameplay videos. And no compilation videos, no reaction videos, nothing like that. No challenge videos. Just straight.
There's so many challenge videos. I almost forgot about that one. Yeah, challenge I don't know. Like, so it's fine if you make one of them or something, but I feel like certain creators take advantage of such simple concepts and they really try to push it as much as they can. Like challenge where I play Osu with my feet or some shit, or I play swapping hands, like crossing hands, or like you can just farm content out of such simple concepts. And like you don't even have to play well. You don't have to you just kind of have to react to your initial, I guess, I don't know, like whatever's going on at first. You're like, wow, this is kind of hard. All right, guys, thanks for watching.
Yeah.
That's the whole premise of the video.
Exactly.
It's like, wow, this is kind of hard. All right, thanks for watching, everyone, after seeing 8 minutes of unfiltered gameplay.
Pretty much. Like, I also have fallen into that hole, unfortunately. And I was aware when I was doing that kind of thing. There's always the play Osu with insert object here. And I hate those videos. I hate making those videos. But they make so much money. Like, I'm not even ashamed at this point. It's just, it's just like, I have nothing to put out this week. Just put something easy out. Like, I went from trying to make something quality to just this. And that's pretty much the lowest point I've hit on making videos, pretty much. And I mean, I won't do that kind of stuff anymore unless it's genuinely interesting. Like my first play also with insert item here was actually the eye tracker. Like even right now, I still think that's actually an interesting idea, since of course it's impossible to play with your eyes, but at the very least, people always claim they look at jumps, so at least you can hit the jumps, right? Turns out no, you don't actually look at jumps. So that's some content, like something you actually learn out of it.
You can get some data. You can pull. You can extract something from it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then just obviously this thing wouldn't work. Yeah.
That's my biggest issue. Is like when you watch Osu content, it's like, what are you extracting from it knowledge-wise? Now, obviously, I'm not saying everything has to be factual or objective, or like I make some dumbass content. I make some silly stuff every once in a while, and I think you should do that. That's what YouTube is for. It's for expression. It's for fun. But I feel like when you try to make content that passes off as informational, but there's no information, like you can't, it's just fluff. It's all fluff. Like when I watch a keyboard review, like that was how my keyboard review video came about, my parody video. I watched a few of them and I was like, I'm not learning a single thing about this.
They just read out the spec sheet.
I'm just seeing what it looks like, and then I don't know. And then they play for like 2 minutes. The typing test is what pisses me off the most. And I'm sorry if you've done this as well, but like I didn't get it. I get it because they're trying to make an Osu video, or they're really making a keyboard review video, but passing it off as an Osu video, so that way they can get the best of both worlds.
Pretty much.
So like, and I noticed that, and I just thought that was kind of shitty because people are like, oh, well, maybe I could buy this keyboard because it'll be good for Osu. But then at the same time, they're like, well, why is it good for Osu? What does it do? It's tactile. All right, sign me up. 150 USD going straight to Amazon, I guess. Like, I don't know. I think keyboard reviews are so lazy, and they're not like pertinent to rhythm games at all. They're not rhythm game keyboard reviews. Now, granted, when I tried doing a few myself, like I tried my best at explaining what it does for certain skill sets for 4-key, and like, you know, I said, oh, for this keyboard, your hands won't shift as much since they're more like, since membrane switches are more grounded in. Like, I try my best to explain.
I think I know.
What?
Right. I think I'm going to show you one clip. I just want Toki to say Binfi is pretty bad, so I can clip it and send it to him. No, I'm not saying that. Oh, but if you guys want to hear the hard truth, the real truth about Osu YouTubers, you guys want to hear it? Okay. All Osu YouTubers are shit at Osu because they're too busy making videos and being funny than actually playing the game. Y'all suck.
I mean, I think it's true. I think it's true to an extent, but at the same time, like being good at the game, I guess doesn't really have like a correlation between like reviewing stuff or making content, because I think you can do both at the same time, but I guess certain content creators can focus too much on just trying to be funny. That's probably the best point. They do try to be too much of a persona, which is fine. YouTubers do that all the time. I don't like to do that because I don't know. I just don't know how to be anyone else but myself.
Makes sense.
But
I tried. I can't.
But yeah, I don't know. No, I guess.
The best way I can explain it, honestly, is because these players, they don't know enough about the game to be able to make a proper review. It's not only that I joke that they're bad, and I don't mean they're bad as in because you are under this skill level you cannot review. It's because they don't know what they're supposed to review. The whole reason why my reviews at first, at least, they can't come off as credible is because I think we might have discussed this in our previous podcast. I'm not sure, but I've always approached Osu as a very in an analytical way, like just like you, as in the whole interest in the muscle groups for what makes things work. I had the exact same idea before I actually became a YouTuber. I was just interested in typing up an entire research paper and like scientific findings in what is the most optimal way to play Osu. This is the kind of things that was going through my head. I'm not saying that I'm any better than all these other Osu YouTubers, that they don't focus enough on the gameplay aspects. Just that it's a possibility that they don't think too hard on what really matters in the games. And the truth is, for a lot of these keyboards out there, it doesn't make a fucking difference. Who cares?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. And I think like it's fine to make a keyboard review here and there, but when you're reviewing like 10 keyboards on your channel and like they're not that different from it, it's one thing if they're completely different from each other, but like reviewing a blue switch and a red switch, like what am I going to extract from that? Blue switches are heavier, red switches are lighter. There's your answer. I just summed everything up for you in like 5 seconds. Brown switches are brown switches are like the gold standard for Cherry MX. I'm going to get a lot of shit for that, but take it from Stepmania players who have played the game for decades, like almost 2 decades now. We have determined that brown switches are the best out of the Cherry MXs. They just are. They're tactile. They don't last long, but they feel solid. They're faster. They're basically like reds with more control from our experience. But yeah, I don't know. I don't understand like the point. Like I could just I get all these keyboards here.
Wow.
And be like, oh, this one's heavy. All right. Oh, this one is Gateron Browns. Pretty light switch. Done. Membrane keyboard. $10. Pretty good. Good control. Good quality. Done. That's the same keyboard. That's also the same keyboard.
Why do you have to do the same keyboard?
I'm running out of keyboards. Oh, this thing sucks. I'm never reviewing this thing again.
Wait, did a key just break off?
I spent $160 on this and forgot to return it.
This
doesn't work at all either.
Is that?
This thing's all right. I'll put this one back.
Yeah, pretty much.
There.
Usually when you...
I just gave them 8 keyboards. I just gave Osu keyboard reviewers 8 keyboards to review. Flush them out to 8
minutes.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Just say a bunch of stuff about... Just get a bunch of close-ups, get a good camera angles. Don't add any insightful commentary. And then show like 6 minutes of you playing like a D&B remix of an anime song.
I believe that, I noticed that people do this. And I remembered when the keyboard thing started like blowing up, I specifically told myself to avoid keyboards. Not because I'm like claiming to be different. It's just that I'm an Osu player. I mean, I was. I don't know if I am. I'm not. I don't know. It doesn't matter. I just didn't feel compelled to click on the video. That's all. Like keyboard videos are actually on their own. They're actually not very popular. But yeah, except also on the title, there's a lot more people to watch.
Yeah, I just don't get it. I don't know. I just don't understand them. I tried watching a few of them, and like I think the worst is when, and this I think you did this too. It was like a sponsored keypad, and I was like, ooh. Whenever I see sponsored keyboard reviews or keypad reviews, I'm a lot less inclined to watch them because
makes sense.
I'm like, and also I hate keypads because I think hot swaps are complete bullshit and they don't last long on average. Like from talking to people, they're a complete gamble. They can work well, or they won't even like they'll start double tapping after like 2 days.
So
why waste $40? Why waste $40 on 2 keys when you can get like a billion keys? And this is a $200 keyboard, and you're still getting technically more value. And the other thing about keyboards is that you can have like different, like there's a slight angle in a keyboard, so you can adjust your wrist position a lot easier and stuff. I don't know. I don't get keypads. I hate them. I hate them with a passion. I know you have one. I'm sorry, but I just can't stand them.
This has an incline.
Does it really?
Yes.
What the hell is that? I've never even seen that before.
This is a prototype. That's the whole reason. The whole reason why I'm using it is not because I like keypads. It's because I'm testing this. This uses.
Who the hell made that?
Is a company called Lotus Pro. They're aiming to make the best Osu keypad possible, which means that their PCB.
Those look so much better.
Which means that their PCB is not using Arduino. And this means that you won't have double tapping or like breaking inputs problems. And I believe
those look so much better.
They're trying their best to make it as good as possible. Basically, they kind of noticed all the issues with keypads and they're trying to fix every bit of it. And that's why I'm testing this. Except that this is fuck this shit. I want to use these 2 fingers.
What? Ew! Why would you do that?
Oh, because if
you can't trill as fast.
Oh, not if you're using 3 fingers at once.
What?
Think about it. The middle key doesn't press anything, right? So when you do this, it's faster. That's also the reason why I hate keypads that are ring+index, because they don't add a key in the middle.
I can't imagine playing ring because these fingers are stronger, like your middle and your index fingers. So naturally you would use those.
This is stronger actually. Because this one connects more down to the muscle here if you actually get used to it. So you will be more stable.
Well, your point. Yeah, your index finger and your middle finger.
No.
Oh wait. Oh no, you're using your what? There's no way. I can't even move my fingers when I do that.
Exactly. But the thing about ring+index is that it's actually a playstyle that you have to get used to doing it. And the thing is that if you force yourself not to move your middle finger, it will lock this finger. So that's why if you do this, you're utilizing your entire muscle here. But okay, that
feels awful.
But the true reason why I use ring+index is because these 2 fingers, they not lock very easy basically. And when they get stressed enough.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. And when I used to swap to these 2 fingers, it stopped doing that. So it's just a practicality reason. I believe that I have not made a video on keypads at all that wasn't the capacitive touch one. And at least the capacitive touch one, there's a I see a point. You can't get a capacitive touch keyboard. At least that's to my knowledge. There isn't like a touch screen.
I just think they're too expensive. I don't know. It's just my logic is. Why pay $40 for 2 keys when you can just get a billion keys on a much bigger and solid surface for like $60 even? You can pick up a good mech keyboard if you really look for like $60 to $80.
I mean, this is genuinely a very first world problem kind of thing. Most people buy it because maybe they want the portability, but that's the most I can think of. Portability. This is the most practical reason.
That's all I could think of.
Yeah, and for me, the reason why I would swap to a keypad is because I don't want 2 keyboards on my table.
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, do I really want to use Holy Pandas on freaking Osu Standard? And this thing still hasn't been flashed to 1000 Hz. This thing is still running at 125. Gross.
But I just think logically it's just, I don't know. I just never would understand buying one. And even when I bought that 4-key keypad from Etsy, it's like, yeah, it's cheap. It's $30 for 4 keys. But I'm like, do you realize how many keys are on a keyboard?
The reason why keyboards are so cheap is because they are mass produced. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
making like mass producing a PCB, one PCB is $10 already. And that's for like 1,000 of them. And then think of the costs of cutting and the and then the keycaps and the cable. And
what's that mean? It's just kind of I don't know. It's kind of a novelty product. It's like an expensive novelty product in my opinion. I remember I saw Zudi playing on one. I asked her like, I was like, oh wow, like a top player is like using a key, because I never seen like a top player using one before, or at least like for an extended period of time. Turns out she actually ditched it, and it was just like an older score of hers. She's like, yeah, I use a keyboard now and this and that.
Why did she ditch it though?
I'm trying to remember. Because it wasn't like the video wasn't from super long ago. I asked her like why she was even using a keypad to begin with, because I was just so thrown off about it. Yeah, so we were like couple of people in the comments were talking about how like they can be kind of shaky in terms of quality, and then she eventually responded with like that they could be hit or miss. Like keypads can be very hit or miss since they're hot swappable, and she said it was fun to try different switches, but she was getting double tapping and late inputs. Double tapping. That's the biggest thing that can happen with hot swap switches, or just, stable switches in general, or unstable switches, I mean. So like that's another reason why why buy something like, while you can switch switches around a lot and you can buy switches for pretty cheap, but you run into the risk of like having a good run just ruined because your switch happens to start over tapping or something.
That's the thing I'm really confused about, because from how hot swap sockets work, I can't see how it would cause double tapping. Usually if double tapping happens, it's inside the switch itself. Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. That's strange, because I think Senya actually was talking, because Senya hates hot swaps. Senya hates hot swap switches. I think he can explain that a lot better, but that's just like the extent of my knowledge.
I have talked to him about the whole hot swap thing before. I mean, I had to talk to him for the polling rate video, which I included in the video itself, about the hot swap might cause issues with chord splitting or inputs. And interestingly, when I talked to the manufacturer of this, they said that realistically, the sockets doesn't make sense that it would cause issues. Think about it. It's like the switch diagram. Why would the two ends cause double inputs when it's the switch itself that can cause double inputs? Why would the two ends cause it?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's what sockets are. There's the two lines, and the switch itself is that thing that closes it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's like an external factor that can affect it, or maybe how you strike the switch, or
it could be the board, but I'm not sure. There's so many things that could go wrong with this. That's why I'm very curious. I really want to break this thing as soon as possible, because I want to see if this thing it would actually cause problems. Because so far it hasn't been destroyed, but I'm gonna have to mess with this a lot before I can find issues.
Yeah. Anyways, back to we strayed. Kind of like the one-dimensional landscape of just Osu tubers. I don't know. I think a lot of them, so what I've noticed, a lot of them have really good production value. That's another thing. They got these high quality cameras and like really good microphones, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, am I watching am I in heaven or something? Like, everything's so bright and like well produced, and I don't know. I always feel like it's
when something is like wrapped up in a nice
It's package? Like they're borrowing stuff from other games, like what other successful influencers from other games do, and using those personas or like tropes from those personas into Osu, like with the way they act, the way they introduce things, like the editing style too. Like, I don't know. There's certain YouTubers I watch and I'm like, you replace Osu with Fortnite and I wouldn't notice the difference in terms of like quality or whatever.
To be honest, I think that's how content creation works in general. We all are not original at all. No one is truly original.
Well, everything has inspirations, of course. I guess a lot of cliches have made their way into the OsuTube landscape, or like people will find ways to make very easy content. Like I said, Osu setup videos, keyboard reviews, guessing Osu ranks. Like, people will keep doing that over and over again because you get a different result every time, but it's the same concept. So when you can find that's the biggest thing with YouTube. When you can find something you can do,
works.
Yeah. When you can find something you can do that produces a different enough result to be entertaining enough to where it's not too bland, you've pretty much cracked the code.
That's true.
Everyone's going to be reacting to Reddit soon on Osu. Koifishu's already one step ahead, so he'll have 300k by the end of this year.
300k, dang! He is growing.
Give him
real
a few
fast.
Reddit. Give him a few Reddit videos. If you guess your Osu ranks.
I really admire his videos. To be honest, they feel so clickable, and that's a very, very, very good skill, by the way.
This is where we're gonna go way off the rails in terms of like our differences, because I physically can't get myself to click on videos on people who pose for thumbnails for the most part. If I see something that looks like a forced thumbnail, I willingly don't click on it.
Yeah.
Because when someone tries too hard to make their video clickable, in my head, I process that as, oh, well then the base video probably isn't as good as it made out to be. I know that's probably not a good mindset, but at the same time, I don't know. It just seems, I just hate people who...
I don't know about you, but I'm exactly the same. I have this extremely elitist way of looking at thumbnails and stuff. I relate 100%. But the thing is that if they somehow, it's like, I know a part of me is like, whoa, this is really interesting, I want to click on it. And then the other part of me is just like, holy shit, this is better than clickbait, dude. You know, that kind of feeling. Especially with, let's say, Reddit text-to-speech channels. Like, I know their content farm.
Oh, God.
And another part of me is just like, yo, that's interesting. Yeah, that's the thing.
No,
it's like,
see, like I don't feed into it. I can't get myself.
You know what I do?
I'm too principled. That's my thing.
I copy the link. I downloaded it on another website, so I don't give them the view, watch time, or ad revenue.
That's a little hypocritical. I'm not gonna lie.
It's really hypocritical. But the thing is, like, this is the number one reason why I don't have YouTube Premium. I really want to get YouTube Premium. Except the thing is, if I have YouTube Premium, if I click on a video that I feel like it was a balance like ad revenue, like clickbait, I've given them money anyway, you know.
See, I just avoid it. I don't know. I'm such a stubborn that's one thing people learn about me. I'm very principlic. I'm very stubborn. Like if I believe in something that I think is right, I stick to that. Like and like I said with thumbnails, like if I see, and again I'm gonna bring up like if I have to see another fucking Koifishu with his face like, can't stand it. It's like, this is gonna come off really bad. It's like a punchable face. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. I'm not saying I have a very punchable face, but it takes one to know one, I guess. I don't know. I can't stand forced thumbnails, I guess. There's a difference between a goofy thumbnail and making one specifically because it's going to get,
it adds something or something like that.
Like, it's different if you make a thumbnail that is attractive and goofy and like for fun, but when you make one that is specifically to get views, like that is your sole intention more or less, you've just like I don't know, you've kind of lost a bit of respect for me.
I just see
and I can usually tell the difference.
I just see it as a great marketing tool. Like
well, I'm a marketing major and I fucking hate marketers. If there's one thing I know about marketing is that I hate it. From doing it for 4 years in college, I hate it. I don't know.
For me,
I
mean, it makes sense. You know how it works, and you know how far it can go, right?
It's so brain dead. I hate it.
Yikes. I mean, for Koifishu's videos, him putting himself in his thumbnails, I noticed that they were kind of there weren't a variety of expressions. I noticed. But to me, I just saw it as either one, what you said, or two, well, it's a way to show viewers like the fastest way that this is their video. This because I noticed that other people do that.
I get that.
A lot of people actually don't put their faces in thumbnail because of the whole like shock face thing. They actually do it because it instantly shows people that this is a video by them. So it becomes instantly recognizable. That's how I see it. Like I've seen people like Drew Gooden doing it, Danny Gonzalez, and I don't see it as him doing it for clickbait. I just see it as him. It's like a branding.
I see a lot more genuity in their content though. So like when I see their thumbnails, they just look goofy to me. They don't look forced or anything. There's a difference between genuine goofiness and like faking it till you make it. That's what I'm trying to get at.
I see. I don't know how I see Koifishu is that I feel like he's really creative actually. Surprisingly, I think he's creative.
We'll have to agree to disagree on that, I suppose. But
I said
we'll have to agree.
I think he's creative in a way that I can't believe he can come up with so many things that like are very watchable. I don't know how you do that. Like it's very easy to push out content that like people like is obviously asking for views, but it's also very difficult to make one that works at the same time also deliver. I mean, he still delivers in his content. That's all I care about. It's not clickbait. And I think a lot of how it can come across as forced is a part of his personality actually. because he seems like a very naturally laid back person, and he is trying to be more outgoing. I think it comes across.
He's
that way.
probably a fine person. I just don't like anything he does. That's the thing. A lot of us on the platform are adults. We can not like each other's content, but still be fine as people at the end of the day.
Oh no, I'm not saying in like a kind of like in a personal way. I'm just saying that his persona comes across as, you can tell that he's a laid back person, but he tries to be more talkative or outgoing. But at the same time, I just realized that I looked in the mirror. I'm just like, yeah, I'm the exact same person too. Shit. That's the problem. That's in a way I can relate to how he operates. He's supposed to be chill, I believe, and he is chill. He comes across that way, although his ideas seem way more far out, like than like his personality. So like the disconnect can come across as jarring or forced. That's what I felt.
I suppose, yeah, I get what you mean. I get what you mean. I think that I think you're making a much better case now that I'm kind of hearing a bit more of it. But I don't know. I think just Osu YouTube as a whole, it's not risky enough. I feel like there's not enough risks being taken with Osu content. My favorite Osu content creator at the moment, Stephen Clark, by far. Very, he's basically done everything that I've looked for in a documentary. Uses music to his advantage, good voice, projects his voice properly. He, does it on very recognizable things, and it just sounds like he's making stuff that he wants to be proud of, stuff he can look back on later and be like, wow, I put a lot of effort and soul into that, and that was a genuinely good video I made. His Everything Will Freeze video and his I forget the other song, I don't know how to pronounce it, but good videos, genuinely solidly produced.
Yes. Oh, I should watch this person. I see some really interesting things here. Oh, the Genru Kaiko video. I saw it in my recommended, except that I just wasn't really interested in finding out about Genru Kaiko because I was around when it happened.
Yeah. Well, I saw his Everything Will Freeze video, and I don't know. I guess I just trusted him as a creator enough I can click on it and expect a good video. That's kind of what I look for. When I see a good video and I'm like, oh, I like this guy's style in general. When I like a person's style of video, that alone could just make me inclined to watch their stuff more, even if it's not stuff I like. And that's kind of what I try to do. I don't do shit because it gets views. I don't do shit because it's going to do well. I do stuff because I like to do it. And I try to do it in a consistent style to where people can recognize it.
That makes sense. Man, that reminds me a lot when I first started making videos. It's a little sad how far I've gotten.
I don't know. I just don't want to be famous. I know this sounds weird. I don't want to be famous. No, YouTube, do not make me remotely famous. I don't even want to hit 6 digits for all I care. I want to have just a dedicated fan base that I can just kind of just be with and be fine financially off of that. Maybe I probably need more subscribers or views to be financially stable, but whatever that bare minimum number is, I would like to reach that and just stay there. I don't know. I guess the more popular you get, the weirder shit gets. More people try to talk to you and reach out to you, and it's like I said, it's like Bohemian Grove shit. Everyone's just, I don't know. I feel like the more popular content creators, the weirder they are on average.
Wait, weirdo?
Obviously,
as in what way weirdo though?
I guess they're not as they don't come off as transparent of a person because especially because naturally the more popular you get, the harder it becomes to be more vulnerable as a person.
Oh, okay. You know what? Let me be real honest now then. Okay. So for the most part, I have a persona on all the fucking time because I've learned from Twitter that I cannot say absolutely anything. And the only time I've been absolutely real in a video is my 30 days video, I believe. I might as well be more real with you right now since we're speaking anyway, and you're being really honest. I can't even remember what I wanted to say. You were saying about the whole, they feel fake, right? I feel that all the time, that the bigger someone is, the harder it is to feel that they're being genuine. And yeah, I feel myself following in the same way. I come up the most safest opinions ever. Although the thing is that I try not to say things that I don't believe in. It's called filter, selective filtering. And I know that you can recognize the filters. And I'm pretty sure you can tell that I've been very filtered with you. Or well, filtered in general anyway. Although I think it's gotten to the part that it's a part of my personality that I have just changed. Instead of seeing myself as I'm filtered, I've changed it to the point of, yeah, I just kind of don't care, bro. They I think there is a good point in different things. Like, for example, let's say Koifishu. When I first saw his content, I was just kind of like, oh my. And at the same time, but then after a while, I decided to just turn it around to, he actually makes, he's a very clever person. That's why I say very, very clever. And I admire how he managed to get a community to get together and support him so well. Although he is attracting the very lowest denominator crowd that I absolutely hated when a long time ago. At this point, who cares? They just do the only thing. The thing is like there's no point being so stringent about what other people do, even though it can be pretty annoying to see, to be honest. But
I think whenever you post a video or anyone posts a video, they are immediately open to criticism of any kind. And I think when it shapes such a notable, more or less meta that other creators end up doing down the line, like with like how like the common Osu tropes I described before, I think at that point you should be criticized, if anything. I think there's not enough criticism going around in rhythm games. Like, and I'm not like anything I say is never directed towards the person. It's always directed towards the creator. If I say, I think if I say X person's content sucks, you know, obviously I'm not going to make a video about that because it's going to come off as personal. It's going to come off whatever.
Right.
So
that
sometimes
was
I try to generalize it.
No, it's not that you come off as personal. It's just that the reason why big creators end up becoming so censored is because when you have a bigger platform, you are responsible for the things you put on it. So in a way, I'm putting myself in jeopardy if I put this on my channel right now because
I think that to an extent, I think you can only be so responsible because at that point you are censoring yourself. And while you should be careful with what you say, when you're making valid points or you're making arguments, like if you're saying anything negative, you know, the viewer has the free will to understand like, okay, I agree with this, I don't agree with this. Anything that happens afterwards, yeah, shit can hit the fan and things can go bad, but what's better? Speaking your mind and getting a message out there, which I think is what YouTube should be all about, or, you know, not being able to express your true opinions and just having this one-dimensional platform where everything's all glitter and unicorn shitting and stuff like that. So, I mean, I don't know. Obviously, there's a fine line. There's a difference between slandering and criticizing. And I think a lot of people are just critiques or critics. But I think things are getting like, it's so easy to shake things up and twist people's words nowadays with social media that a lot of things you could say could just come off as slanderous or preposterous or, you know, so it just depends how much courage you have yourself or how confident you are in your word. And, you know, you just got to be prepared for the backlash. So if I call out Konami, which is a corporation, and I say, hey, fix your game, you guys suck, I could say that. That's a valid thing to say. I don't think I'm saying anything bad. I think I'm just expressing my opinion.
It's more,
and I don't think enough people do that.
It's more of the social repercussion of, not social repercussion of, just the effects of punching down versus punching up. When you punch up as someone like us on a platform, Konami doesn't listen to us. We are nobody to Konami. Nobody knows us. More people know who Konami is. And it's easier for us to criticize them because it comes from a place where nobody would listen to us. But the difference between
I'll make sure they listen.
The difference is that
I'll make sure they listen.
I hope you do. I guess it'll be quite interesting to see.
I know who to contact if I need them to listen. So.
All right. Difference is that when you start punching down is when things can start reaching the lines of bullying. Because we can't control what we say. We can choose to put the video up or not. But the problem is that we can't control how the audience reacts to our video. And that's the issue because the thing is, we are technically in a position of power where we have huge influence on the people that are watching us. These people who are watching me and watching you, they are watching us because they already like us. They already see us as reliable people. They're more likely to believe what we're saying. And there are people, not all of the viewers are going to go and attack whoever, but there are going to be a few people who take it wrongly, as in not take what we say wrongly and criticize us. It's more of they would hear everything we said wrongly, see as this person bad, and then start like attacking them. In a way, we've opened like a gateway of like a part, the terrible part of people, our audience, to whoever we've criticized, you know?
Yeah. Who cares?
Oh, boy.
That's gonna happen. Like, you can't make risky content and not expect risky repercussions. You can't, like, I don't know. Rhythm game content just feels way too safe. I just don't like, I don't know. It just feels way too corporate or friendly. And if it's not friendly, it's just about like making lewd anime jokes at worst. Like, that's like as risky as Osu content gets. It's not like, hey, this person's content is stale. they're milking this for views, this and that, and like it's genuinely affecting the platform. And here's my case for it. You as a creator should have the right to do that. Obviously, you're facing a big risk stirring up drama, which is why you should be very careful doing so. But I don't think by principle there should be virtually no content about that. I think it is possible to make valid criticisms towards a specific creator even, because people do that. People do that a lot. But I don't know. I think like, and even my critiques are usually, they're pretty innocuous compared to what most people actually say.
That is
What
true.
the people say is a lot different than probably what I'm going to say.
That's
like, I've probably
the
said some
issue.
dumb shit on this podcast already that people can easily take out of context and say, oh, Etienne's a fucking retard. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Oh my God, he just said that. And it's like, yeah, I said that. What if you know,
Own up
if you
to
want
it,
to
I
DM
guess.
me, we'll talk about it. Yeah, I'll own up to it. If I made a mistake, I'll own up to it. But you can't stay behind safe doors forever. And when it comes to like stuff you want to express, I bet there's so many people that want to make risky content or speak their mind about a specific thing, and whether it flops or not, it's like, you know, you're not gonna know until you try. And I think I've even been too safe with my content, even with my most negative videos. My DDRV video, I think I held back way too much. I think I held back with, even with my new Konami video that's going to be out soon, I think I pulled a decent amount of punches there too. Like,
Yeah, criticism it's completely
it's
fair.
a genre
yeah.
that
I
hasn't been
agree.
explored enough.
I agree. It's always the most interesting kind of content to watch. But the thing, yes, criticism is a very fine line to walk. A very, very fine line.
I think it's become a fine line to it. Like, I think it's become a lot more controversial than it should be. The notion of criticism. Like, I don't know. I'm not trying to get too philosophical and like try and stay on topic of rhythm games, because like, I don't know. I've never the last video I saw critiquing a rhythm game was the top 15 worst DDR charts, and this guy did it in the voice of Chills from Top 15s. Oh my God, it was hysterical. And he's just dunking on all these bad DDR charts with like very insightful commentary too. And like, oh my God, it had like okay, probably had like 90% ratings or like ratio, but oh my God, it was one of the best videos it felt like a breath of fresh air seeing someone like say, hey, these charts suck. And I was like, yeah, they do. Fix them. Like, that's my process. I'm like, yeah, I feel like someone's on board finally.
To be honest,
Like, I don't know, just little things like that can just make rhythm games much more interesting to watch. I'm not saying there needs to be drama. I'm saying there needs to be criticisms, like something gets accomplished at the end of the day.
But okay, so the thing is, okay, now I think I remember. Okay, criticizing is a lot easier than coming up with a solution. Now the question would be, what would you want to see in OSU content then?
I want to see people critiquing like stuff like combo scoring, or people saying how like note lock hasn't been fixed in forever, or people saying like valid concerns like, is laser going to be as it's hyped up to be, like the general mapping landscape, trying to think what else. Or like the PP system, are players too centralized with certain skill sets? Should skill sets be split up, or should PP be split up into like multiple skill sets and then you average them out and stuff like that? Like, there's so many things you can critique about OSU alone, and people have far better knowledge of the game than me that can easily make those types of videos, but people don't want to watch that. And I guess that attributes to it being a younger demographic, just from speculation for OSU.
It could be a demographic kind of dissonance you have going on. Like, the issues that...
like I said, there's a lot of things, like not even with people, just within the game itself, you can even critique so many things.
The issue is that, sadly, the superior taste is not popular. Yeah, that's my true opinion. The stuff that's actually good is not popular. Like, honestly, my favorite like OSU video is the Taiko Nita commercial. It's just an animation of the Taiko Nita mascot, the one the shitpost they were trying to win, and he was talking at a sexy voice, asking you to come to bed. That's the best OSU video I've seen, and it's not popular. And I've come to realize that people's general taste is very different from what.
No, and I know that, and I'm just an old man shaking his fist at the clouds, saying like, you gotta learn to enjoy good content, like Pishy Fat and Mo, like those two in particular. wow, they stand out like sore thumbs and they're
Yes.
not even active anymore. And when I found that out, I was like heartbroken.
Yeah, I really
Digital
like
Hypno
most videos.
lately, Digital Hypno made a phenomenal video on covering all of the skill sets.
Yes,
and
I've
like
seen that one.
fantastic video. I didn't get to watch too much of it, but the parts I did watch, like he obviously knows what he's talking about. And he looks like, looking at all his past content, it was like super basic, like Osu content. And then out of nowhere, he just comes like, that is the transformation content creators need to do. I mean, not need to do, but I think should do if they want to see like longevity in the platform. I think if you want to see longevity with your community, you need to branch out to other content and learn how to make more fleshed out and provoking videos.
I think that it depends, because you see the whole the videos that you pointed out, they're just a different genre. There's people out there who just prefer watching skits or pranks and things like that. Like for example,
Yeah, and that's fine.
yeah. Now the thing is,
I just think there are not enough people doing it. And I think there's content creators that have the potential, like the potential's there, and they're not utilizing it. That's what I mean.
you're talking about me.
I'm just like a general. I mean,
No,
honestly, I didn't even think about that, but I meant more general
No,
sense.
I'm joking. I knew you weren't talking about me. Although actually you have a point. I thought I used to think exactly like you back then, which is why back then I tried to mishmash both of the kind of content you're talking about. See, people prefer watching skits, right? People prefer watching funny videos on Osu. It's this thing that goes round and round, self-feeding cycle, like you said. But at the same time, things like aspects of the game is so much more interesting to talk about, isn't it? And that's what I tried to do back then. The thing is that my Airman video, Airman Plays Osu, that video, it looks like a shitty, like lowest denominator. Oh, it's Airman, clickbait Airman. But the truth is that if you actually watched the video and understood if you look past all the humor, all the parody, the entire video was actually shitting on Sotax. The entire video, the meaning of the video was Sotax maps suck. It's so bad that you can replace the song in the background with literally anything and it will fit.
Oh yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
This is the kind of meanings I put in my videos back then. I mean, not saying that it's much better than it's good enough, or I just know that the kinds of videos I made, they were the things that I knew people could make. And the times when I'm making these videos, I made a lot of these kinds of stuff that I parody stuff, because I knew that just take one aspect of the game. Like, you want to talk about broken sliders? Okay, you can take it, exaggerate it as much as you can. No a problem. But the thing is, a lot of Osu content creators and a lot of people on Osu, they don't know enough. That's why I said the Osu YouTubers are bad at the game. Not because I don't mean like bad literally. I just mean that they don't know enough. That's why I stopped making like these kinds of Osu content, because I just stopped playing the game. I stopped keeping up with the game. I can't talk about let's say sliders, how to break the 2B sliders or whatever, and make it into a joke video with like an underlying like knowledge, because I just don't follow the game anymore.
You'd be surprised like how many top players in rhythm games in general just don't know their own game. Like, they can't explain certain terminologies that well. So if you ask them, how do I improve at this or that, they just probably won't have an answer. They just won't even answer you. Or they'll just have like a very simple explanation, like the whole play more meme. That's probably where it came from, more or less, because like certain top players that just don't know how to explain their own success, which makes sense because certain rhythm games, like, or rhythm games in general, you can pick them up pretty fast. Like I've seen people pick up rhythm games and just know how to play right off the bat. I'm like, how do you know how to do this already? So they get good like really fast, hit their peak skill level, and then I don't know, they can't explain their own game. That's why so many players, they just play the game. They don't need to explain their own skill sets because their playing does all the talking already.
I feel like if anyone's
Asai though, Asai is like the perfect example. Asai, he's a Clone Hero YouTuber. Yeah, and like super popular player, has like over 1 million subs, great player, and people, you would think at first, people have the impression that, oh, he's just an influencer, this and that. But then like he gets down to explaining a lot of certain tricks and tips on like certain patterns, and you're like, damn, he really knows his shit. And he's like this big YouTube content creator. So I think like you shouldn't assume all the time that a popular player doesn't know what they're talking about if they come off as like a generic influencer or whatever. But there are people that, like, I don't know, if you ask them to make a tutorial on something, they'd be like,
I have no idea, you know. I think it takes a certain kind of personality to be like the kind that like would go in depth with things. Because not everybody like plays a game and they think about like every aspect about it. Some people just want to play it. Yeah,
they could just brute force their way to get good. I always call it monkey mode. I see note, I hit note, and there you go. You get good at rhythm game. I always call it. There's like all the stamina players, like how people get good at stamina in rhythm games. I always call it monkey stamina because they're not thinking, they're just playing until their arms hurt. And then they just get really good.
I think for stamina, that's pretty much the only way, unless it's trading a certain kind of pattern stamina. That's at least my very loose knowledge on how it would work. Like a marathon map of thrills is very different from like a different kind of pattern, you know?
Well, yeah. I like to break it down to like time distribution. Like how long are you taking between songs? What's your technique like during the patterns? Are you conserving enough? Are you, stuff like that. But other people, they just go until they can't play anymore. They till failure, which is a popular lifting term. Just go until failure.
That makes sense. Man, I wanted to say something but I forgot. But I think your insight on how the also YouTuber scenes is very interesting. Would you be making a video on it though?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd be like, I don't know if at the end of the day I would get the message across I want to get across. And I'd like everything I'd be saying is like with the intention of wanting to improve the landscape. It's not meant to diminish anyone. That's not my goal. I don't benefit from just shitting on people. No, like I be the change you want to see. Like, so I want to see something change. So I'm going to heavily criticize it if I feel like my words are justified enough. So like that's always my goal when I try to do stuff like that. And if people do get offended, I can only control so much. Like it's at that point, it's up to you if you want to be affected by what I say personally. Like I don't intend it for it to be that way. But if you take it that way, I can't control that. I can't.
I see.
I'm sorry if it did. I am, but I can't control it. If I say, oh, this person's very one-dimensional, their content's boring, it's formulaic, this and that, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. I'm like, well, what were you expecting me to say? Like, I was as nice as possible.
Yeah, I get that. I think it's a very interesting line, honestly, because your opinions come from a place of genuinity. The whole, you want things to become better. It seems to be almost like you think everyone is like you, actually. Because you see, right? Not everyone makes videos because they want to make good videos. Some people do it for, there's a lot of reasons. Let's say the views, the revenue, the support, the fact that it works, staying in the comfort zone. And there's also other reasons like the fact that making a good video takes so much time. And they don't want to die in the YouTube algorithm. They don't want to become irrelevant, And some people they just prefer making different kind of content, and they would prefer to do what they excel in. If what they excel in is being a one-dimensional character, according to you, well then it would be quite curious to see them try to play something else. Honestly, in my opinion,
right?
Yeah,
right. And I'm not hoping for this dystopian world where everyone's making super in-depth content. And I don't think all content needs to be in-depth. I think like you can make fun, like you're supposed to make fun content. You're supposed to make stuff you can just turn your brain off to. Like it's the same thing with music. But I think there comes a point where like you can only do it for so long, and I get worried sometimes that some people are just going to fizzle out and like almost run out of ideas. Or it can shape the way up and coming people come onto the platform. They're like, oh, well, this does well. I guess I'm just going to do the same thing, but with like a slight tinge to it. So it's kind of to prevent this, I'm trying to think of the word, precedent, like trying to prevent a precedent from making the landscape even more one-dimensional than I frankly think it already is.
Hey,
so,
have you considered that maybe the person who sees sees an influencer doing something like that, and they think to themselves, hey, I want to be like that. I should do something like that because that's what works. Maybe that just means that they're not really the original, like in-depth kind of people that would make good content in the first place, because they're going for the easiest thing.
Well, it's, I mean, though, it's to get, the point is to get people out of that mindset. I think like it's to get people to think on their own and like when they make a video, it's like, oh, I want to make a good video. Like I want to make a video because it'll do well, but also it has my own identity. Like I think some people like don't even have their own identity anymore. And I'm not trying to psychoanalyze anyone. I'm saying from a content creator standpoint that like they have, they're in such an awkward position where I can't even tell like their identity anymore with what they truly like to make or want to make.
Honestly, I think you make a lot of sense. Yeah.
And so I just don't want other people to fall into that same realm where everyone's just kind of jerking each other off, making the same content and collabing with each other, doing all these Osu setup and guessing videos. And I don't know. It's just, I think they're fine in moderation, but it comes a point until that's the only thing that will do well in the OsuTube landscape. Like people like Pishy, Mo, and Digital Hypno, you know, they're not taking off as much as they should, but god damn it, they'll always have my respect. And I wish the best for them. I hope they set the precedent for what's to come in the future, because I think if we have more people like them really trying their best at create, Stephen Clark too, and Brum Masters be getting better, like people like them that are actively trying to improve. Like some of their content was not that good in the beginning, but you can tell they've tried at improving more, and especially like Digital Hypno and Brum Master I bring up the most is because their content wasn't that great to start out with. But you know what they did? They fixed their shit. They revamped what they did. They assessed what was wrong and what wasn't, and now they're making great content. Are all the bangers? Not yet, but I think the more and more people that have that mindset, the faster, you know, things can balance out a bit more, so we can have a balance of normie content and more nuanced content. I think there should be a balance. Like I said, there shouldn't be this dystopian world where everything is this high and mighty pretentious bullshit where we're spouting out all these in-depth knowledge about things. But
it's the issue is that I noticed since the very start is that in-depth content just takes a lot more to make, and not everybody has that personality to make it. Or on the other hand, making easier to do videos are just easier to do, which is I think the reason why these smaller these like in-depth videos, the reason why there's not as many, it's just straight up because it's hard to find the people that can make this. There's less people that's able to make this content. There's going to be less videos compared to people who are able to make, you know, general kind of content.
Well, yeah, and that's what I mean. I want to get those people that, like, some people, like the people I've never made a video in their lives, they might have like the talent to make it, but they're just not confident enough because they're like, oh, well, it's not even going to do that well because rhythm games are so niche. Rhythm games are like, you know, the only type of content that does good is X type of videos, so why even bother? Like, that's the mindset I had at one point. It's like, do I even have a place as a content creator? And I thought I didn't for a while. I was questioning my own content for the longest time, but I always heard from people like your first few or even 20 videos can just be, you know, total dumpster fires in terms of view count. So I just kept going until it got me. Like, I'm so stubborn, I'm just not going to stop doing what I'm doing until I get the satisfaction I think I want. So whether I was at because I was at 2,000 subs when I made my Through the Fire and Flames documentary, which was like a 50-minute video, and then it got 2,000 views. I was devastated. I thought it was gonna be a banger. I mean, somehow it ended up getting views in the future, but I was like, oh my god, it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And then I got really upset, and I said no, fuck this. I'm gonna make a Soulless 4 score progression. I'm gonna make another 40-minute video, and that's gonna do well. And then I just kept going. I just kept going and going, and then I don't know. I just kept sticking to what I knew best and what was in my best interest. So whoever is watching this and you think you have the potential to make those types of videos, just do it. Just don't look back. Just like do the research, contact people, don't be afraid of rejection. And as Nardwar says, just ask for it.
Hey, yeah, that's a good one. Your journey through YouTube is so different from mine. I questioned my content too, but in a very different way. It's kind of like I look back at my videos and it's, why do I make these? What's the point? And a lot of the time I felt like I was making low tier content. I know. Because the thing is that I am at least a little bit self-aware that these are nothing amazing. The only thing that's like worth a grain of salt is maybe at most the reviews. Everything else is just, I just made it, I guess. And that's the kind of the slump I had with YouTube last year anyway, because I didn't know what to make. I guess it's just a lot of the mindset and lifestyle issues I had. And this year it is going better, I believe. I mean, ever since I've quit drinking, things have been going a lot better. My videos are a lot happier. And I know sometimes that even right now, I still can make really clickbait content or like lowest denominator content, like my grandmother playing Osu. But
I mean,
honestly,
that's fine here and there.
No,
like,
it's not. It's not,
and especially if it's genuine.
It's not because I wanted to clickbait. Back then, if I made this video, it's definitely for clickbait. But now it's because I wanted to. That's it.
Yeah, you wanted to. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I think. And I think that's what it should be.
The issue is that there's a lot of people out there who make one-dimensional content, just like many of my videos. Maybe they just wanted to. That's the issue. But
no, and I think that too. And that's what I didn't want to come across. And I think that's what people were going to assume as soon as I said what I said. That is not what I mean. I definitely think people do want to make those types of videos, but at the same time, I think it can just be unhealthy for the platform, like as a whole, in terms of the precedent you're setting. So
I see. I think the wrapping up this area is what we're trying to say, or what you were trying to say was, you want to encourage the people out there who could make in-depth content, who could make something useful, something interesting. Just do it. Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just repeating what you're saying, but yes. And as for everyone else, even if you're making quote-unquote brain dead content, there are still ways to improve these brain dead content. We might grow a brain cell. Yeah.
I think that's the other thing. There's so much room for improvement for that type of content too. That's another thing I forgot to mention. There's so much room for improvement for that you can like make it a bit more unique and have each episode have its own identity. So that's like another qualm I have is like when I watch that type of stuff, I feel like I'm just watching the same video again, but in other people's minds, I guess, because I just watch content differently than people. They're in their heads, it's completely different. It's like they're watching a whole different video to them. But for me, it's like I feel like I just watched this video yesterday.
I think I get what you're saying, but in the first place, I don't really watch videos that are similar. I don't really watch the videos that repeat, I guess. I'm more interested in what kind of videos I watch on YouTube anyway. It's all chill jazz music. And there's nothing interesting. Yeah, nothing else here. Oh, Hamo's videos appear on my recommended again.
Nice.
Oh, it's been like 2.5 hours. This is a long one.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But honestly, it's great talking with you. It's always very interesting to speak to you because we always have such conflicting opinions.
Yeah, and I think that type of discourse is needed. And, you know, I always enjoy talking to people with differing opinions because I like discussing things with people. It gets ugly when people start to argue. So I appreciate talking to someone who's willing to discuss with me rather than just kind of,
like fight.
You know, shaking their fist at me, telling them I'm dumb. So
yeah, I get that.
And there's probably an abundance of things I said that may have come off as pompous or whatever. And I apologize. I really do. If it came off that way, I really do mean it from a place of sincerity. If you've watched my content enough, you know I mean it from a place of sincerity. So I could just be bad at wording stuff, especially since this is live and I'm just kind of speaking off my brain. So again, I appreciate you all for just hearing me out. And I thank Tokaku for having me on here and letting me, you know, have a voice and this type of stuff. So
I mean,
I'd love to see, you know, some discussion in the comments too. So, and I'm always willing to have a discussion myself.
I'm really interested in how the comments will turn out this time, actually.
I don't know. I think they'll be interesting. And that's what I think it should be. I just love talking about rhythm games. That's just always how it's been for me.
And
whether it's negative or positive, I just like discussion. That's why I make so many discussion videos.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to tell people the most about your channel. The whole, you are not afraid to speak your mind. That's something really admirable. I may not agree with every single thing you ever have said ever, but if I never heard you, I wouldn't have known that your point of view existed sometimes, you know? And I think that's something to consider. It's even if I don't agree, I learn something new. And it's also really interesting.
I think it all started with the pausing is cheating video.
Yes. Oh, that was a controversial one.
I was a nobody and everyone's like, who are you to say? And it was just not good because I had never made I think I'd made 3 videos before that one. I had barely had any subs. I made this video basically saying that all these popular players, yeah, those scores aren't valid. And everyone's like, who are you to say that?
When I saw your video, I kind of agreed with the title. I agreed with it when I saw it. I was just like, yeah, pausing isn't really actually going through everything in one go. I mean, I know my hand slips when it goes down on, when I play on Osu, my hand always freaking slips down the pen. And then I can pause and readjust it. That's cheating. Then trying to adjust it while playing. It takes away the difficulty. It just creates
arbitrary difficulty.
Yes.
And which shouldn't be. Difficulty shouldn't be arbitrary in that regard. So, and the title is clickbaity, but I still stand by it as in pausing should not be rankable. I think it should be allowed in Osu. It shouldn't be rankable.
I don't think it's a clickbait title at all. It's exactly what the video is.
Yeah, it's
a strong title. That's all I can.
Pausing is cheating shirts coming maybe in the future. I'm actually thinking about doing that. I'm thinking about making pausing is cheating shirts.
I'll probably buy one.
I think it'd be pretty cool. It's such a simple concept too that I think it's marketable enough.
I think it works in pretty much every other game. Pausing can be cheating.
That's why so if I ever plan on releasing VSRG merch,
let me know. I'll be the first to buy.
Yeah, honestly, I'm thinking about buying a couple hundred shirts and just getting them printed.
Hey, can you please put them on a dry fit shirts?
Dry fit?
Yeah, not cotton. The ones that for running and stuff. Those are always
we'll check out the costs.
Okay,
okay. I'll have to talk to my friend who's supply chain management.
All right. Speaking to you is always so interesting. Even if we're not talking about nuanced issues let's say the really long debate about the whole Osu community and the state of content. Even just talking about regular games, our point of views are very different because you are the token simulator player and I'm the token arcade player.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Part of me is just too cheap to play arcade games, but I also hate how much money I have to pay to play arcade games. I get that that's the idea of arcades, but rhythm games are in such a unique position to where a subscription-based service I think would fit so much better.
I agree.
You swipe a card, or pay $30-$50 a month. Oh, I could play as much as I want.
Oh, I think.
And if someone says, "Hey, I want to play," general courtesy is that or the thing is people would say, oh, well, they're going to hog the machine if they have a subscription because They can play as much as they want. No, if you're just a regular person, you'll say, hey, you can play. That's just how courtesy operates.
Yes.
So, and a rude person would just use their quarters to suffice. So like, it's not even an argument when people would be against subscriptions.
Yeah.
But that is an argument I could see being made for it. So I kept that in mind.
I just feel like rhythm games and arcades, they shouldn't exist anymore. They should just bring it home. Just bring it home.
Yeah.
Just bring it home.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's fun. The arcade scene, it's fun.
I
the
like how
environment is
it makes people get together. That's the one thing I love the most.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's how like all the communities come together. I can't wait for arcades to reopen. I mean, they're like some are like kind of open with like COVID restrictions here in the US, but oh my god, it's
terrible.
It's so bad here still.
Yeah.
It's so bad here.
I
We
feel
can't do
bad for you
anything more or
guys.
less still. No, it's awful. I just want things to be back to normal.
Right. This is a really long episode. Honestly, it was a huge pleasure having you on. And boy, this is
Yeah,
a
it's
really
great to be on here.
This is going to be a very new kind of content I'll be putting on my channel. In fact, I feel a little nervous because knowing how this podcast has went. But I'll take the risk, especially since, to be honest, your pure unfiltered opinions without my side of speaking, I would find it extremely terrifying to put on my channel. But although with both of us discussing completely different viewpoints, I feel like it's a lot more like a discussion than just, let's say, dogpiling against like other content creators, because
Right.
we provide alternatives to each other. So it's always interesting. And all I have to say is, you guys, please watch this guy. It's really interesting. And trust me, a lot of his videos, they don't get as, I would say, heated as this. They're usually a lot more structured, and definitely this
This is like unfiltered
It is
Etienne.
unfiltered. And he can capture emotions, hype, and moments in the way he speaks and articulate himself so well. So please watch him, and also please check out the other content creators we've mentioned in this video. Even the ones you criticize.
Yeah,
or
check
just
them all
didn't
out.
like, just watch them. It's
Yeah.
we are a community.
Everyone's got a taste.
Yeah, we are a community. We do things. We
Yeah.
support each other. We don't pull each other down.
No, and I think every content creator that is making content about rhythm games is,
I think it's a
valid.
great
Every content creator, because
Yeah.
as long as you're growing the genre, that's all that matters. Which is what I said about Friday Night Funkin. Like, yeah, it's kind of tarnishing the depth of what rhythm games have to offer, but at the same time, it's growing the genre, which is a net positive.
Yes.
Always about the net positives.
All about net positives. And wait, I wanted to say something. All right. Okay, guys. Thank you so much for listening to the both of us. And I'll give. Oh wait, never mind. I don't want to give away anything. I wanted to give away like 5 months supporter to whoever who managed to count how many times I've sipped from my cup. But the thing is, if I do that, I will have to count how many times I sip from my cup. So I don't want to find out myself. Not because I don't want to give away money, but because I just don't want to count. But if you
Right.
want to score some brownie points with me, please count. I want to find out. Anything else you want to add, Etienne?
No, just everyone out there, just keep doing your thing with rhythm game content creation. And if you want to make rhythm game content, do it. That's really all I have to say. Just don't be afraid.
Yeah, and just one very small thing to add. I know it might even derail into an entire new topic, but has gotten really long. I noticed a lot of newer content creators on Osu. They will try to grow, so they learn about the different ways to try to grow. And I realized that going through all these ways to grow, they've kind of lost their genuinity in the process. I think you've mentioned this earlier before. And so in the end, if you want to make a video on YouTube for Osu content, or just any video in general, please just keep it as genuine as you can. You can keep the things like clickbait thumbnails or like titles or like tags in mind, but don't try to cater to anyone. Just make it you.
Oh, you don't have to tell me. I'm just gonna, I can't make myself make something I don't want to make.
Yeah.
I've never operated like that ever since I
I
was
know.
a kid. So
Yeah, just the thing is that I notice a lot of like newer Osu creators. It's just like what you said, the whole cycle of going over and over. It seems that these people, they want to make content, but they don't know what to make. And instead of finding something from in themselves or something they're interested in, they tend to follow the trend instead. Or like the easiest things they could think of that they think that people might like. Yeah. So that's what I noticed. Most people's videos, they blow up on also YouTube because they made something new. And that goes, say, with people like Squashy, Kachulu, Mirai, myself. Woof, the OGs. We all made something new that was different. Not because we followed someone else. And it's true for all the content creators here. And yeah, I think that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hey, Etienne, say thanks too.
oh yeah. Thank you, everyone.
You paused. All right. See you guys.